Holy shit. Imagine being so broken that even Kurama hides in the corner pissing himself. This whiskered freak walks through planetary devastation and turned invulnerable into the sexiest power fantasy ever. Baldur reincarnated, more like the ultimate fuck you to every villain who tried him.
The nine-tailed fox had lived for centuries. He had fought gods. He had toppled mountains. He had stared down the Sage of Six Paths himself and spat defiance into the old man's face. But the moment Minato Namikaze's sealing jutsu dragged Kurama into the screaming newborn's belly, the greatest of the tailed beasts felt something he hadn't experienced in 1,000 years: terror. Raw, primal, bone-deep terror. Kurama materialized inside the seal, expecting to find an empty mindscape, some dark sewer, some crying infant soul he could bully and corrupt over the decades. Instead, the fox found himself standing in a vast golden hall. Pillars of white marble stretched toward a ceiling that blazed like a second sun. Runes covered every surface. Ancient markings older than chakra itself, older than the sage, older than this entire world. And sitting on a throne carved from solid light, legs crossed, arms spread wide across the armrests, was a presence that made the nine-tailed fox look like a house cat. The soul opened its eyes. They burned like twin stars, bright, blinding, amused. Well, well, the soul spoke, and its voice shook the golden hall like thunder rolling through the bones of the earth. Another cage, another life. Let's see if this one's more entertaining than the last. Kurama's nine tails tucked between his legs before he could stop himself. His massive body pressed against the far wall of the seal. Every instinct screamed at him to run. This was wrong. This vessel held something inside it that predated everything Kurama understood about power. This was a god, a real one, an old one, the kind that made tailed beasts look like parlor tricks. What are you? Kurama growled, trying to keep the tremor from his voice. The golden soul smiled, wide, savage, hungry. I'm Baldur, god of light, son of Odin, the stranger who walked every realm and feared nothing because nothing could touch me. And apparently, I've been reborn into some brat in a ninja village. The god's smile stretched wider. This is going to be fun. Kurama said nothing. For the first time in his immortal existence, the nine-tailed fox chose to stay silent and stay small in his corner of the seal. He had a feeling this vessel would need zero help from him. He was right. Naruto Uzumaki grew up golden. His hair blazed like wheat fields under summer sun. His eyes burned blue enough to make the sky jealous. And across his skin, from collarbone to fingertips, faint runic tattoos shimmered beneath the surface, visible only in certain light, pulsing with ancient otherworldly power that the villagers of Konoha couldn't begin to understand. They hated him anyway. They saw the fox's vessel. They saw a monster. They threw rocks. They swung sticks. One drunken shunin on the anniversary of the fox attack drew a kunai and lunged at 6-year-old Naruto in a back alley. The blade hit Naruto's chest and snapped clean in half. The chunin stared at the broken weapon in his hand, then at the small boy standing in front of him, without a scratch, without a bruise, without a single mark on his skin. Naruto tilted his head, those blue eyes catching the moonlight and glowing just a little too bright. That tickled, Naruto said. He grinned, all teeth, all confidence, a smile that belonged on something much older and much more dangerous than a 6-year-old orphan. Want to try again? I'll give you a free shot. The chunin ran. He ran fast. He ran like a man who just tried to stab a mountain and watched the mountain smile back at him. Naruto picked up the broken kunai halves and tossed them in a nearby trash can. Then he walked to Ichiraku Ramen and ordered 3 bowls, humming a tune that sounded ancient and Norse and completely out of place in a hidden village. The attempts continued over the years. They always failed. A group of villagers cornered him once with torches and pitchforks. The fire washed over him like a warm bath. He actually closed his eyes and stretched into it, sighing contentedly. That's nice. Keep going. I was cold. The villagers fled screaming. One of them needed therapy for months. A rogue jonin tried drowning him in the river. Naruto sat at the bottom for 20 minutes, arms crossed, waiting. When the jonin finally pulled him out to check if it worked, Naruto grinned up at him from beneath the surface, perfectly fine, waving cheerfully. The jonin retired from active duty the next day. The third Hokage watched all of this from his crystal ball with a mixture of awe, concern, and something that might have been laughter hidden behind his pipe smoke. He tested Naruto's skin personally. A chakra-enhanced flick to the forehead that should have left a welt for days. His finger had throbbed for a week afterward. The boy's flesh was harder than diamond, harder than anything the old Kage had ever encountered in 7 decades of ninja life. "What are you, Naruto?" Hiruzen had murmured once, studying the glowing runes that flickered across the boy's skin when his emotions ran high. Naruto had just laughed. "I'm the future Hokage, old man. What else would I be?" He meant it too. That was the thing about Naruto that separated him from the ancient bitter god sleeping in his soul. Baldur had been broken by his invulnerability, driven mad by the inability to feel, to hurt, to experience the raw edge of mortality. But Naruto channeled all that indestructible power through the lens of a boy who still cried at sad movies, still gorged himself on ramen until his stomach ached, still blushed when pretty girls looked at him. His heart stayed warm even when his body couldn't be touched. He loved people. He wanted them to love him back. He wanted to protect them. He wanted to stand at the top and prove every single person who'd ever looked at him with hatred that he was worth something. And God help anyone who stood in his way. Naruto was 8 when it happened. The incident that first showed Konoha what their Jinchuriki truly was. Hinata Hyuga, small, shy, lavender-eyed, and timid as a mouse, was walking home from the academy when 3 older boys cornered her. They were clan kids, civilian merchant sons with too much money and too little supervision. They wanted to bully the weird eye girl, and they'd shoved her against a wall hard enough to make her yelp. "Stop it, please." Hinata stammered, pressing herself against the fence, eyes glistening. "What's the matter, freak? Gonna cry? Those creepy eyes of yours gonna do something?" The biggest boy raised his fist. A hand caught his wrist from behind. The boy turned and found Naruto Uzumaki standing there, that grin already spreading across his whiskered face, blue eyes burning like gas flames turned too high. 3 on 1? Naruto tilted his head. "Against a girl half your size? Real brave, guys. Real impressive. Get lost. Demon brat." The biggest boy swung his other fist straight into Naruto's face. Full force. Knuckles cracking against Naruto's cheekbone, the boy's hand crumbled. 3 fingers broke on impact. He screamed, yanking his fist back, staring at the mangled digits hanging at wrong angles. Naruto hadn't moved, hadn't flinched. His head hadn't even turned from the blow. "Is that it?" Naruto laughed, a wild manic sound that bounced off the alley walls, and his runic tattoos flickered to life beneath his skin, glowing icy blue. "My turn." He flicked the biggest boy in the chest. Just a flick. 1 finger, casual as swatting a fly. The kid launched backward like he'd been hit by a battering ram. His body crashed through a wooden fence, then through a tree trunk, then through a second tree trunk, before finally stopping in a heap 40 feet away. Alive, breathing, but very, very unconscious. The other 2 boys stared. Their faces went white as fresh paper. "You guys want to turn?" Naruto asked brightly, wiggling his finger. "I've got 9 more of these." They ran so fast they left dust trails. Naruto let the grin fade into something softer. He turned to Hinata, and those burning blue eyes gentled instantly, like staring into a summer sky instead of a forge. He crouched down to her level and offered his hand. "You okay? Don't worry about those guys, they hit like mosquitoes." He flashed her a bright, toothy smile. "I'm Naruto. Let me walk you home, yeah? Nobody's gonna bother you while I'm around." Hinata's face turned the color of a tomato. Her heart hammered so loud she was certain he could hear it. She took his hand with trembling fingers and whispered a thank you so soft it barely existed. Naruto just kept smiling, chattering about ramen in the academy and how he was going to be Hokage someday, completely oblivious to the fact that he just claimed Hinata Hyuga's heart forever. Behind them, Kurama stirred in his cage, watching through Naruto's eyes. The fox huffed. "Smooth kid," the fox muttered. "You've got a god's charisma and you waste it on ramen talk." Naruto ignored him. He always did. The academy years passed faster than they should have. Naruto didn't bother with traditional study, couldn't see the point of learning about chakra control when his body ran on something far older and far more powerful than chakra. He slept through lectures, pranked teachers. and somehow still passed the graduation exam through sheer physical dominance. His written test scores were terrible. His taijutsu evaluation broke the scoring system. The dummy he punched during testing vaporized. They had to order a new one from the next village over. Iruka Umino, scarred, kind-hearted, the only teacher who'd ever treated Naruto like a real person, handed the blonde his headband with a complicated expression. Pride mixed with concern, mixed with something like fear. "Naruto," Iruka said carefully, "you know you're different, right? Different?" Naruto grinned, tying the headband across his forehead with a satisfying tug. "Nah, sensei, I'm just built different." He wasn't wrong. Team assignments came down on a Monday morning, and Naruto found himself grouped with Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno under Kakashi Hatake. The universe apparently had a sense of humor. Sasuke Uchiha, last of his clan, brooding, talented, driven by vengeance. He'd spent every waking hour since the massacre honing himself into a weapon. He was good, the rookie of the year, the best genin Konoha had produced in a decade. He'd also never met anyone he couldn't eventually surpass through training and willpower. Until now. Their first real interaction as teammates happened during Kakashi's bell test. The rules were simple. Take the bells from Kakashi before noon, or get tied to the post. Teamwork was the real lesson. Naruto didn't care about the lesson. Kakashi stood in the training field, hands in his pockets, single visible eye curved into that infuriating crescent of fake friendliness. "Come at me with the intent to kill. Otherwise, you'll never." Naruto was already in front of him. The blonde moved so fast the air cracked. His fist drove forward, and Kakashi, working purely on Jonin reflex honed through decades of combat, barely twisted his body sideways. The punch grazed his vest, and the shockwave alone sent Kakashi skidding 30 feet backward, his sandals carving trenches in the earth. Kakashi's single eye went wide. His hands came up from his pockets. The lazy posture vanished instantly. "What the?" "Too slow, sensei." Naruto was on him again. He threw a knee strike that Kakashi blocked with both arms. The impact cracked the ground beneath the copy ninja's feet. Kakashi's forearms throbbed violently as pain shot through both limbs. This genin hit harder than Might Guy. Kakashi substituted with a log. The log exploded into sawdust the instant Naruto's follow-up punch connected. From the tree line, Sasuke and Sakura watched with wide eyes. Sakura's mouth hung open. Sasuke's jaw tightened, his Uchiha pride already screaming, his mind already racing to understand how a dead lass who slept through every class moved like that. Kakashi appeared behind Naruto, forming hand signs. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. A sphere of roaring flame engulfed the blonde completely. Naruto stood inside the fire with his hands in his pockets. The flames licked over his skin and burned away his orange jacket, revealing the glowing runic tattoos covering his chest and arms. The fire did nothing else. 0 burns, 0 redness, 0 damage. Naruto reached through the flames and grabbed Kakashi's wrist. His grip locked down like a steel trap. Kakashi tried to pull free, couldn't move, tried to substitute. Naruto's other hand grabbed his other wrist, tried to body flicker. The boy's grip anchored him completely. "Bell, please," Naruto said, grinning up at his terrified sensei. Kakashi stared down at the 12-year-old holding him in place with the strength of something ancient and impossible. His Sharingan had already uncovered itself, the spinning red eye tracking Naruto's every movement, reading his body for weakness, finding absolutely 0. You're serious right now?" Kakashi breathed. "As a heart attack." Naruto yanked, pulling Kakashi off balance, and in the same motion swiped both bells from the Jonin's belt. He held them up, jingling them cheerfully. "Got him!" Total elapsed time, 47 seconds. Kakashi straightened his vest, rubbed his aching wrists, and stared at Naruto with his one visible eye carrying an expression that would haunt him for weeks. He'd have to report this to the Hokage. This boy wasn't Genin level. He wasn't Chunin level. He wasn't even Jonin level. Kakashi had fought alongside the 4th Hokage himself, and what he just experienced from a 12-year-old ranked terrifyingly close. "Well," Kakashi said, forcing his voice back to its usual lazy drawl, despite the cold sweat running down his spine. "I suppose you pass." Naruto tossed one bell to Sasuke and one to Sakura. "Here, team effort and all that?" Sasuke caught the bell and stared at it, then stared at Naruto. His teeth ground together. Something hot and ugly coiled in his chest. A feeling he'd recognize later as the beginning of an inferiority complex that would reshape his entire destiny. Sakura just whispered, "What are you?" so faintly that only the wind heard her. Their first real mission beyond the village walls came 2 weeks later, the Land of Waves, an escort job for a bridge builder named Tazuna. A simple C rank that everyone knew was going to go sideways the moment 2 enemy chunin emerged from a puddle on the road and tried to shred Kakashi with chain-linked gauntlets. Kakashi let them kill him to test his genin. Sasuke moved first, pinning the chain to a tree with a kunai and engaging the demon brothers with textbook precision. One of them broke free and charged at Tazuna. Sakura stepped in front of the old man, trembling but brave. Naruto yawned. The free demon brother raised his poison gauntlet and slashed at Naruto, who happened to be standing between him and Tazuna. The claws raked across Naruto's bare arm with a horrible screeching sound, metal on something harder than metal. Sparks flew. The gauntlet's claws bent backward and snapped off. The demon brother looked at his broken weapon, looked at the completely unharmed boy, looked back at his weapon. "Bro," Naruto said. "Really?" He grabbed the enemy ninja by the face, palm covering the man's entire head, and slammed him into the dirt so hard the road cratered. One hit. Fight over. The second demon brother, seeing his partner face planted into unconsciousness, turned to run. Naruto appeared in front of him faster than the eye could track and clotheslined him into the dirt beside his brother. Kakashi shimmered back into existence from behind a tree, his test concluded. He looked at the 2 unconscious chunin embedded in the road and then at Naruto, who was already walking again, hands behind his head, whistling. "Should we tie them up?" Sakura asked weakly. "They're fine," Naruto called over his shoulder. "Well, mostly fine. They might need new teeth." The Land of Waves proper was a depressing place. Poverty everywhere, a tyrant shipping magnate named Gato strangling the life from the country, people too scared to fight back. Naruto looked at the empty market stalls, the hungry children, the dead-eyed fishermen, and his jaw tightened. His Ezer blood boiled whenever he saw people being crushed underfoot by someone stronger. He was still thinking about those hungry kids when the mist rolled in. Thick, suffocating, blinding. It swallowed the bridge like a living thing. Visibility dropped to 0. Killing intent saturated the air, heavy, oppressive, the kind that made genin freeze and made civilians faint. Naruto breathed it in like fresh morning air. Killing intent didn't work on something that couldn't feel fear. Sasuke was trembling. Sakura's knees shook. Even Kakashi had tensed, his hand already pushing up his headband to reveal the Sharingan. "Everyone stay alert," Kakashi ordered. "This is..." A massive shape exploded from the mist. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist, A-rank missing nin, ex-member of the 7 swordsmen, swung his executioner's blade in a horizontal arc aimed directly at Naruto's neck. The giant cleaver whistled through the fog, its edge sharp enough to bisect a man wearing full-plate armor. It connected. The sound that followed was unlike anything anyone present had ever heard. A clang so loud it echoed across the entire bridge, reverberating off the water below, shaking the steel cables. Birds for miles in every direction took flight. The sound rang like someone had struck a cathedral bell with a sledgehammer. Zabuza's arms went numb. The executioner's blade, the legendary sword that grew stronger by drinking the iron in its victim's blood, bounced off Naruto's bare neck like it had hit solid titanium. A chip appeared in the blade. A visible, undeniable crack in one of the most feared weapons in the ninja world. Naruto turned his head and looked at Zabuza. His blue eyes glowed. His runic tattoos ignited across his skin like circuits coming online, burning bright icy blue in the thick fog. "Is that a sword or a butter knife?" Naruto asked, his voice carrying that deeper undertone, the Aesir god bleeding through, dripping arrogance and hunger. "Come on, man. Make me feel something. I'm begging you here." Zabuza, who had massacred an entire graduating class at age 9, who had tried to assassinate the Mizukage, who feared nothing in this world, took an involuntary step backward. Every survival instinct he possessed screamed at him to run. The thing standing in front of him looked like a 12-year-old boy. It smiled like something much, much older. "What the hell are you?" Zabuza snarled, raising his chipped blade into a defensive stance. The name's Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage. And you just swung a giant hunk of metal at my head, so. Naruto cracked his neck, rolling his shoulders. My turn. He moved. Zabuza's trained eyes lost him for a fraction of a second, and that fraction was all it took. Naruto appeared directly in front of the Demon of the Mist, well inside his guard. The blonde grabbed Zabuza by the face with one hand. His fingers dug into the bandage wrappings. Zabuza tried to swing his sword, but Naruto's other hand caught the flat of the blade and held it in place with a single palm as if the massive weapon weighed nothing. Water style, water dragon. Zabuza tried to form a one-handed seal. Channeling chakra through his feet, Naruto didn't let him finish. He pivoted his entire body, hauled Zabuza over his head by the face, and suplexed the Demon of the Mist into the bridge deck with everything he had. The bridge shuddered. Steel beams groaned. A crater 20 feet wide opened in the concrete surface. Zabuza's eyes rolled back as the impact drove the air from his lungs and the consciousness from his skull. The executioner's blade clattered away across the bridge surface, chips and cracks covering its legendary edge. Silence. Kakashi stared. His Sharingan spun uselessly. He'd been tracking the movement, recording it, analyzing it, and his brain still couldn't fully process what he just witnessed. A 12-year-old genin had just manhandled one of the deadliest assassins in the ninja world like he was disciplining a child. Sasuke's hands were shaking. His Sharingan hadn't awakened yet, so he'd barely seen the movement. But he'd felt it. The bridge vibrating, the air pressure shifting. The sheer, overwhelming presence of Naruto in combat, like standing next to a natural disaster wearing a human face. Sakura sat down on the bridge surface because her legs couldn't support her anymore. Tazuna took a long drink from his sake bottle and said nothing. Naruto straightened up from the crater, dusting off his hands. Okay, that was fun. He's got a buddy hiding in the trees, right? The one with the mask? He pointed casually toward the tree line where Haku had been observing from a concealed position. Kakashi blinked. How did you? I can feel him, the ice coming off that one. Naruto's tattoos pulse blue. Smells like winter. Reminds me of. He trailed off, a faraway look crossing his face for just a moment. Baldur's memories stirring, echoes of Jotunheim and frost giants and a mother's spell. Then he shook it off. Anyway, hey ice person, your boss is taking a nap. You want to fight too? Or you want to take him home and think about your life choices? A Senbon needle embedded itself in the bridge surface at Naruto's feet. Then Haku appeared in a swirl of wind and ice, the porcelain hunter nin mask hiding her gentle features. She knelt beside the unconscious Zabuza, checked his pulse, and looked up at Naruto. You're remarkable, Haku said softly. I've never seen Master Zabuza defeated so easily. I get that a lot. Naruto grinned. Take him. Get him some soup or something. He's gonna have a headache. Haku gathered Zabuza and vanished in a blur of ice crystals and speed. Kakashi opened his mouth to protest, to explain that they should capture the enemy, that leaving them alive invited a second attack, but the words died on his tongue. What was the point? Naruto could handle a second attack the same way he'd handled the first. Naruto, Kakashi said instead, his voice carefully even. We need to talk about what you are. I'm a genin, sensei. Naruto beamed at him. And I'm hungry. Tazuna-san, your daughter cooks, right? Please tell me she cooks. Zabuza came back, of course. A week later, on the completed bridge, in the thick mist once again. This time he brought Haku at full combat readiness, and this time Haku went after Sasuke while Zabuza challenged Kakashi. The crystal ice mirrors materialized around Sasuke and Naruto, a dome of reflecting ice surfaces, each one containing Haku's image, each one a launch point for Senbon needles moving at impossible speed. Sasuke fought hard. His awakening Sharingan tracked Haku's movements, barely keeping up, his body accumulating needles like a pincushion. He pushed himself to his limit, burned through his chakra, and eventually collapsed to one knee, bleeding from dozens of wounds. Sasuke, Naruto called out. He'd been letting the fight play out, curious, watching, giving Sasuke room to grow. But seeing his teammate fall changed the calculus. Naruto's expression shifted from amused to something harder. Haku appeared in a mirror directly behind Sasuke, a bundle of Senbon aimed at the Uchiha's exposed back. I'm sorry, Haku whispered. This is what it means to be someone's tool. The needles launched. A blur of orange and gold appeared between them and Sasuke. The Senbon struck Naruto's back and bounced off like thrown toothpicks, clattering uselessly to the ground. Ice, huh? Naruto said, looking up at the mirrors surrounding them. His voice had dropped, lower, rougher, carrying Baldur's edge. I know a thing or two about the cold. My previous life, let's just say ice, and I have history. His tattoos shifted. The icy blue glow warmed, heated, blazed, turning from blue to white to a deep, furious orange that pulsed like living fire. Naruto's entire body radiated heat. The bridge surface beneath his feet began to glow red. Steam erupted from everywhere his skin contacted air. "Let me show you what a god does to ice," Naruto said. He stomped. A shockwave of raw, radiant Azer fire magic exploded outward from his body in every direction. The temperature inside the mirror dome spiked past anything the frozen technique could withstand. Haku's crystal ice mirrors, an ability inherited through a rare and precious bloodline, strong enough to withstand fire jutsu from seasoned jonin, melted. They didn't crack. They didn't shatter. They melted, liquefied in an instant, turning to steam that billowed into the sky in a massive white column visible from miles away. Haku stumbled backward, her mirrors gone, her primary weapon dissolved into nothing. Her mask cracked from the heat. Beneath it, her wide, terrified eyes stared at Naruto, at the glowing, burning, godly figure standing in a circle of molten concrete. "How?" Haku gasped. "That's impossible." Naruto blitzed forward. His fist drew back. Haku tried to form an ice shield, but the construct melted before it fully formed, unable to exist within Naruto's heat aura. His punch rocketed toward her face, carrying enough force to shatter boulders, enough speed to crack the sound barrier. It stopped 1 inch from Haku's nose. The wind pressure alone threw her mask off and sent her hair streaming backward. Haku squeezed her eyes shut, waiting for the end. It didn't come. She opened her eyes slowly and found Naruto's fist frozen in place, his expression complicated. The battle-hungry Azer god warring with the warm-hearted boy who couldn't bring himself to destroy someone innocent. Because he could see it. He could see the kindness in Haku's eyes, the sadness, the devotion to a master who gave her purpose. Haku wasn't a monster. She was a kid, like him. "You're done," Naruto said, his voice gentle now. He lowered his fist. "I can tell you're a good person, and I don't kill good people. Go check on your boss. I think Kakashi-sensei is about to finish him." Haku stared at him with something approaching wonder. Then she turned and ran toward where Zabuza and Kakashi battled. What happened next? Zabuza's death at Kakashi's hand? Haku throwing herself in front of the lightning blade? Zabuza's final stand against Gato and his thugs? The rain falling on the bridge as two broken people found peace together? Happened largely without Naruto's involvement. He stood back and let those events unfold because they needed to. Some stories had to end their own way. But when Gato's hired army of thugs charged the bridge after their boss fell, 100 mercenaries with swords and clubs and murderous intent, Naruto stepped to the front of the bridge and cracked his knuckles. "Okay," he said cheerfully, "these ones I can hit guilt-free." The sounds that followed haunted the land of waves for generations. The bridge workers told their children about the day a golden-haired boy walked into 100 armed men and emerged 30 seconds later without a scratch, leaving a field of groaning, broken bodies behind him. They named the bridge after him, the Great Naruto Bridge. He thought that was pretty cool. Home came quickly after waves, Konoha in springtime, cherry blossoms and ramen and the familiar bustle of the market district. Naruto ate 7 bowls at Ichiraku to celebrate their return, while Kakashi filed a mission report that made the Hokage's pipe fall out of his mouth. He did what to Zabuza? Hiruzen sputtered, reading the report for the 3rd time. Suplexed him into the bridge deck, Kakashi confirmed, standing at attention with a distant look in his single visible eye. One hand. "Sir, with all due respect, I need to know what we're dealing with. This boy is... I've never seen anything like him. His skin can't be pierced. His strength exceeds anything I can measure. His speed pushed me to my absolute limit. And those markings on his body, they're not seals. They're not curse marks. I don't know what they are." Hiruzen puffed his pipe slowly. He knew more than he'd ever told Kakashi. He'd consulted scrolls, spoken with Jiraiya, even reached out to monks who studied reincarnation cycles. The best theory anyone had produced was both impossible and undeniable. Naruto Uzumaki's body hosted 2 entities, the nine-tailed fox, sealed by the fourth. And something else, something older, something from beyond their world entirely. Keep him close, Kakashi, the third Hokage said finally. Keep him happy, keep him loyal, and for the love of all that's holy, don't make him angry. Understood, sir. Kakashi paused. One more thing. Yes? He asked me to recommend the team for the Chunin exams. Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. They just became Genin 3 weeks ago. Kakashi's expression was flat. Sir, he suplexed Zabuza. Point taken. Approved. The Chunin exams arrived with the turning of the season, bringing Genin from every hidden village pouring into Konoha's gates. Teams from sand, sound, rain, grass, all of them hungry for promotion, all of them carrying the weight of their village's expectations. Naruto was excited. Sasuke was focused. Sakura was nervous, and all three of them walked into the examination building like they owned the place, because one of them basically did. The written test was a joke. Naruto slept through it, literally face down on the desk snoring, and still passed because Ibiki Morino's final question was a test of courage rather than knowledge. The instant Ibiki revealed the true purpose, Naruto lifted his head, grinned, and said, "I was never going to quit, old man. I don't run from anything." Then put his head back down and resumed his nap. The Forest of Death was where things got interesting. Anko Mitarashi threw a kunai at Naruto during her dramatic entrance speech. The blade bounced off his cheek with a spark and a ping, and Naruto caught it between 2 fingers without looking up from the granola bar he was eating. "Careful, lady," he said, tossing the kunai back to her. "You could put someone's eye out." Anko caught her own kunai and stared at the completely unblemished cheek she just struck. A slow grin spread across her face. "Oh, I like this one." Into the Forest of Death. Giant insects, giant snakes, enemy teams lurking behind every tree. Team 7 moved with confidence. Sasuke taking point with his Sharingan now fully active, Sakura watching their backs, and Naruto strolling through the middle of the formation like he was taking a walk through a park. They made it 3 hours before trouble found them. The real trouble. The wind shifted. The forest went silent. Every animal within 100 meters fled at once. Birds exploding from the canopy, insects burrowing underground, even the massive tigers native to the Forest of Death running with their tails between their legs. A presence descended on the area that made Kakashi's killing intent look like a gentle suggestion. Sasuke's knees buckled. Sakura hit the ground, gasping. Even Naruto felt it. Didn't affect him physically, couldn't make him tremble, couldn't make him afraid. But he felt the weight of it pressing against his mind like a dirty hand. "Big snake energy," Naruto muttered, his eyes scanning the canopy. "There you are." Orochimaru of the Sannin melted out of the tree bark like a nightmare given flesh. His yellow serpentine eyes locked onto Sasuke with predatory hunger, that too long tongue licking his lips. "Coo, what a delicious specimen. Those Sharingan eyes, I must have them." "Hey, snake face." Naruto stepped between Orochimaru and his teammates. "Eyes up here. You want a fight? I'll give you a fight." Orochimaru barely glanced at him. "The Nine-Tails brat, you're in my way." He formed a seal with one hand, summoning jutsu. A massive serpent exploded from the earth, 100 feet long, scales like armor plate, jaws wide enough to swallow a building whole. It lunged at Naruto, intent on consuming him and removing the obstacle in one gulp. The snake's jaws closed around Naruto. For 1 second, he was gone, swallowed whole, disappeared into the beast's throat. Sasuke screamed his name. Sakura covered her mouth. Then Naruto's hands appeared, one on the upper jaw, one on the lower. He pushed outward with the casual strength of a being that had once wrestled Jormungandr in another life. The snake's jaws cracked open against its will. Wider, wider. A horrible tearing sound filled the forest. Naruto ripped the snake's head in half. The 2 halves of the massive serpent's skull fell to either side as Naruto stood in the center of the gore, bathed in blood from head to toe. His runic tattoos blazed through the crimson coating. His eyes burned blue-white. And he was laughing. That wild, feral Baldur laugh. The sound of a god finally getting to flex muscles that spent too long idle. "Is that all you've got, Snake Man?" Naruto roared, blood dripping from his golden hair, his grin savage and wide. "Come on! Make me feel something." Orochimaru's composure cracked. For the first time in decades, the Sannin's smug expression faltered. This child just ripped apart a summoned creature with his bare hands. The raw power required to do that exceeded anything a genin should possess. It exceeded what most Kage could manage. But Orochimaru was still a Sanin, still centuries of jutsu knowledge wrapped in an immortal body. He recovered his arrogance, licking his lips again. Interesting. Very interesting. But you're still a child. He elongated his neck at impossible speed, shooting his head forward like a striking cobra, mouth open wide, fangs extended, aiming to bite Naruto's neck and implant the curse mark. His fangs hit Naruto's skin. They shattered like glass. The sound was sickening. Cracking, splintering, fragments of tooth flying in every direction. Orochimaru's head recoiled violently, his mouth a mess of blood and broken fang stubs. He screamed, a genuine startled scream of agony from a being who barely remembered what pain felt like. "You call yourself a Sanin?" Naruto snarled. His playful energy was gone. The god was awake now, fully present, fully furious. Somebody had tried to bite him like he was prey, like he was food. Baldur's pride roared to the surface. Naruto launched himself skyward. He went up 50 feet, 100 feet, until he was a golden dot against the canopy. Then he came down. Answer stomp! His foot connected with the forest floor directly where Orochimaru stood. The impact was apocalyptic. The ground for 100 meters in every direction simply ceased to exist. Trees exploded into splinters. Boulders turned to dust. A crater 50 feet deep opened in the earth. The shockwave flattened half a mile of forest, ancient trees falling like dominoes in every direction. Animals miles away startled. The proctors monitoring the exam felt the tremor and looked at each other with real fear. Orochimaru barely survived. His body, already battered and broken from the stomp's edge, slithered from the crater, missing an arm and most of the skin from his torso, his true serpentine form visible beneath the damaged flesh suit. He'd substituted at the last possible instant, the replacement taking the full force while he escaped to the periphery. But Naruto was on him already. The blonde appeared in front of the damaged Sanin with speed that left after images hanging in the air. He unleashed a combination, Baldur's boxing, refined over lifetimes of combat experience. Left hook, right cross, uppercut, knee strike, elbow smash. Each blow landed with a sonic boom. Each impact cratered whatever surface Orochimaru's body happened to hit. Trees turned to confetti. Rocks became powder. You punch. Orochimaru's replacement body shattered like porcelain. Don't kick. The Sanin flew through 3 ancient trees, each trunk exploding on contact. Bite! Headbutt. The ground Orochimaru landed on cratered 10 feet deep. Gods! A final, devastating palm strike caught the fleeing Sanin in the center of his back. Orochimaru rocketed into the distance, crashing through the forest canopy and disappearing into the sky like a baseball hit out of the park. Naruto stood in the center of destruction that looked like a meteor impact site. He was breathing hard, from excitement, from the rush, from the glorious feeling of finally getting to cut loose against something strong. The forest around him was flattened for hundreds of meters. His tattoos pulsed with residual gold and blue light. "Come back anytime, Snake," Naruto said to the empty air, rolling his shoulders. That was fun. Behind a fallen tree, Sasuke and Sakura stared at the apocalyptic landscape that used to be a forest. Sasuke's hands trembled. His Sharingan had captured every moment of the beatdown, recorded every impossible feat, burned every image into his photographic memory. And with each recorded frame, the poison of inadequacy sank deeper into his chest. How could he ever avenge his clan when his own teammate was a god? The preliminary rounds of the Chunin exams passed without incident. Naruto's opponent was a sound ninja named Dosu, who threw a sound-based attack at him, watched it do absolutely nothing, and forfeited on the spot after Naruto took a single step forward. Smartest ninja in the building, the finals were a different animal. A full stadium, the Hokage watching, foreign dignitaries, betting pools, thousands of eyes and the weight of public expectation pressing down on every competitor. Naruto's opponent, Neji Hyuga, genius of the Hyuga clan, master of the gentle fist, a boy who believed in fate and destiny with the fervor of a religious zealot. Neji stood across from Naruto in the arena, his Byakugan active, veins bulging around his pale eyes. He'd studied, he'd prepared. He knew Naruto had an unusual body. Everyone in the village whispered about the unkillable boy. But Neji believed in the absolute supremacy of his technique. The gentle fist targeted chakra points, internal pathways, the network beneath the flesh. It didn't need to pierce the skin, it struck the spirit itself. "You're fated to lose here," Neji declared, settling into his stance. "A dropout remains a dropout. Destiny has already written the outcome of this match." Naruto stood loose, hands at his sides, grinning. "That's a lot of talk, pretty boy. Show me what your destiny looks like." Neji moved. Fast, genuinely fast for a genin. His fingers blurred, chakra-charged tips striking Naruto's body at specific tenketsu points. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. The attack rained down. 2 strikes, 4 strikes, 8, 16, 32, 64, each one landing with the precision of a surgeon, each one driving chakra into Naruto's tenketsu points to seal them shut. Neji moved with the grace of his clan's ancient tradition, his rotation perfect, his targeting absolute. Naruto stood there the entire time with his arms crossed. He let Neji finish. Every single strike, all 64. He stood motionless, watching with vague interest, like someone watching a butterfly land on their arm repeatedly. Neji leapt back, panting, sweat running down his face. He'd executed the technique perfectly. Every chakra point should be sealed. His opponent should be collapsed on the ground, unable to move, unable to mold chakra. Defeated, Naruto uncrossed his arms. He stretched his neck, then his fingers. He bounced on his heels. "Are you done poking me?" he asked, tilting his head. His tone dripped with Baldur's arrogance, the voice of a god addressing an ant. Because I barely felt that. Neji's Byakugan could see Naruto's chakra network. His tenketsu were sealed. The technique had worked on a technical level. But Naruto's body wasn't running on chakra. Beneath the sealed chakra points, another energy flowed. Golden, ancient, blazing, a river of divine power that moved through channels the Byakugan had never seen before. Channels that existed outside the known anatomy of a ninja. "Impossible," Neji breathed. "Your tenketsu are sealed. You shouldn't be able to." "I don't run on chakra, genius." Naruto grinned and his eyes pulsed with old golden light. "I run on something your clan's never seen before." He punched the ground. The arena floor disintegrated. The entire stone surface, reinforced, sealed, built to withstand powerful jutsu, fragmented and exploded upward in a shower of rubble and dust. The shockwave sent the front rows of spectators rocking back in their seats. The Hokage's guards stepped in front of him reflexively. Every ninja in the stadium reached for a weapon on instinct. Neji was airborne. The erupting ground had launched him upward, and before he could orient himself, Naruto was there, appearing above him with speed that left a golden streak in the air. Naruto grabbed Neji by the collar of his traditional Hyuga robes and held him at arm's length, dangling. "Destiny," Naruto said, staring into Neji's wide, terrified Byakugan eyes, "is just an excuse for the weak. You want to know what I believe in? Hard work, guts, and being too stubborn to ever stay down." He threw Neji. The Hyuga genius flew across the entire width of the stadium and crashed into the far wall hard enough to crack the concrete. He slid to the ground, out cold before he hit the floor. The arena went silent for 3 full seconds. Then it erupted. The civilian section roared. They loved an underdog, and they loved it even more when the underdog turned out to be a monster wearing a smile. Ninja in the audience traded shocked looks. In the Kage box, Hiruzen smiled behind his pipe, and beside him, the disguised Kazekage, actually Orochimaru beneath a mask, felt cold sweat drip down his spine as memories of being beaten senseless in a forest came flooding back. "Winner, Naruto Uzumaki," the proctor announced, and Naruto threw both fists in the air, soaking in the crowd's noise like sunlight. In the stands, Hinata Hyuga pressed her hands over her heart and whispered, "Naruto-kun," with such fierce, quiet pride that Kiba beside her actually scooted away from the radiating warmth. Also in the stands, Sasuke Uchiha gripped the railing until his knuckles went white. His Sharingan spun, replaying the moment Naruto shattered the arena floor with nothing but raw strength. The poison sank deeper. The gap between them yawned wider. And in the back of his mind, a voice whispered that maybe Orochimaru had a point about seeking power at any cost. The Konoha crush hit during the final round. The Genjutsu fell across the stadium, putting civilians to sleep. Sand and sound ninja poured over the walls. The barrier went up around the Kage box. Chaos reigned, and in the forest outside the stadium, Gaara lost his mind. The one-tailed Shukaku, a mass of living sand, Malice and insanity erupted from Gaara's body in full transformation. The complete beast form towered over the trees, a mountain of sand with gold and black eyes rolling with madness, its voice booming across Konoha like thunder. Finally free! I'll destroy everything! The ninja forces scrambled. Ambu squads mobilized. Evacuation protocols activated. Gamabunta was the standard play here, a toad summon large enough to wrestle a tailed beast. But the summoner was Jiraiya, who was on the walls fighting off the invasion forces. Naruto watched Shukaku rise above the tree line from the stadium roof. He cracked his knuckles. A grin split his face, the savage, hungry grin of Baldur seeing a worthy mount to climb. Finally, he breathed, something big enough to be interesting. He launched himself from the stadium roof. His legs drove him skyward with force that cracked the concrete beneath his feet, sending him arcing through the air like a golden missile aimed directly at the rampaging tailed beast. He cleared the distance, over a mile, in a single bound, the wind screaming around him as he rocketed towards Shukaku's massive head. Hey, ugly! Naruto roared at the peak of his arc, arms spread wide, grinning like a madman. Up here! Shukaku's massive head swiveled. Those insane gold eyes locked onto the tiny golden figure flying toward him. A little bug? I'll crush you! A sand arm the size of a building swung at Naruto. He didn't dodge. He caught it. His hands sank into the compacted sand and held. The impact transferred through his indestructible body and into the air behind him, creating a shockwave that flattened trees for a quarter mile. But Naruto held position. His feet found purchase on nothing but air, pure divine strength, creating resistance where physics said there should be none. He twisted. His entire body rotated, arms locked on Shukaku's massive sand limb. With a roar that shook windows in Konoha proper, Naruto wrenched the tailed beast's arm sideways. Sand cracked, the limb deformed. Shukaku screamed, a sound of surprise and genuine pain that the ancient beast hadn't experienced in centuries. Let's cool you off! Naruto released the arm and shot upward, higher, until he was level with Shukaku's face. His tattoos blazed blue-white, the Azer ice magic flooding his body. Frost crystallized in the air around him. His breath came out as freezing vapor. His fists glowed with the accumulated cold of Niflheim, the primordial ice of the first realm. He punched Shukaku in the stomach. The impact point became an epicenter of impossible cold. Azer ice magic pulsed outward from Naruto's fist in a wave that moved across Shukaku's sand body at terrifying speed. The living sand flash froze, grain by grain, section by section. The tailed beast's body transformed from living, flowing sand into solid, brittle permafrost. The freezing spread across Shukaku's torso, up his chest, along his arms, down his legs, turning the mountain-sized demon into a frozen statue in seconds. Shukaku's mouth gaped open in a scream that never finished sounding. His body locked in place, frozen mid-movement, ice crystals sparkling across his entire form in the afternoon sun. The rampaging tailed beast stood motionless. A monument to the moment a 12-year-old god punched the insanity right out of him. Naruto launched himself to the top of the frozen beast's head. He could see it. Gaara's body half submerged in sand on Shukaku's forehead. The boy's eyes rolled back. The connection between host and tailed beast maintaining the transformation. Wake up, you idiot, Naruto growled. He drew back his head. His runic tattoos flared. Azer headbutt! His forehead connected with Gaara's. The impact shattered the ice around Gaara's body, broke the connection to Shukaku, and sent a pulse of golden energy through the Sand Jinchuriki's consciousness. Shukaku's possession ended instantly. The tailed beast's presence yanked back inside the seal like a dog on a chain. The frozen form of Shukaku began to crumble. Without the demon's will animating it, the permafrost sand couldn't maintain structural integrity. The massive statue collapsed, sections breaking off and tumbling earthward, hundreds of tons of frozen sand crashing into the forest below with thunderous impacts. Naruto grabbed Gaara by the collar before the boy could fall and landed on a tree branch 100 feet below, touching down Featherlight despite carrying an unconscious kid. Gaara's eyes fluttered open, teal and black ringed, full of terror, staring up at the golden-haired boy who just dismantled a tailed beast with his bare hands. How? Gaara croaked. How are you so strong? We're the same. We both carry monsters, but you? We're the same in some ways, Naruto said, and his voice was gentle now. the warmth beneath the warrior. We both grew up alone, both got treated like trash, but I figured something out that you haven't yet. What? Gaara whispered. Fighting to protect people makes you stronger than fighting for yourself ever could. Naruto grinned, setting Gaara down on the branch. You should try it sometime. Get some friends. Eat some ramen. Stop trying to kill everyone. It's a bad look, man. Gaara stared at him for a long, silent moment. Something shifted behind those teal eyes. A crack in the wall of hatred and loneliness that had defined his entire existence. He'd met someone stronger. Someone who'd been through the same hell. Someone who came out of it golden instead of broken. I'll try, Gaara said. Good. Naruto clapped him on the shoulder hard enough to make the branch shake. Now stay here and rest. I gotta go punch some more invasion dudes. He vanished in a burst of speed, leaving Gaara sitting alone on a branch in a destroyed forest, staring at his own hands and wondering if maybe, just maybe, existence held something beyond pain. The invasion ended. Konoha stood, battered but unbroken. The third Hokage fell in his battle against Orochimaru within the barrier. The only loss that mattered, the only death that made Naruto's chest ache, was something even his invulnerability couldn't block. Grief. The one thing he could still feel with perfect clarity. He stood at the funeral in the rain, black clothes, head bowed. Around him, the entire village mourned. Naruto didn't cry. Baldur's pride held the tears at bay, but his jaw was clenched so hard that thunder rumbled in the clear sky above, responding to his emotional turbulence. I'm gonna find that snake, Naruto said softly, rain running down his whiskered cheeks. And when I do, he's never slithering away again. Kakashi's hand settled on his shoulder. The copy ninja said nothing. Words felt useless in moments like this, but the weight of his palm said enough. I'm here. We're here. You're one of us. Naruto let the hand stay. He stared at the grave marker and made a silent promise that the next time Orochimaru crossed his path, the fight would have an ending. A permanent one. The village needed a new Hokage. Jiraiya was asked and refused. Some excuse about not being cut out for the desk job, though the real reason was a book deadline. Instead, the Toad Sage proposed a retrieval mission. Find Tsunade, the legendary sucker, the slug princess, the greatest medical ninja alive. Convince her to come home and take the hat. Road trip. Naruto fist pumped when Jiraiya told him he was coming along. Where is she? Last I heard, drowning her sorrows in sake at some gambling den in Tonzaku town. Jiraiya eyed his new traveling companion with the appraising look of a man who knew more than he let on. He'd read Kakashi's reports. He'd studied the ceiling matrix he'd helped design 12 years ago. He knew about the anomalous second presence inside the boy. Kid, Jiraiya said as they walked through Konoha's main gate into the wider world. You know you're different. The markings, the strength, the invulnerability. Have you ever wondered what's actually inside you? Besides the fox, I mean. Naruto's grin stayed in place, but something flickered behind his eyes. A depth, a knowing, a flash of ancient gold. The old man told me about Kurama, furry asshole in a cage. But the other thing, he touched his chest where the thickest concentration of runes pulsed beneath his jacket. I hear him sometimes, in dreams. He's not a demon, he's something else, something that lived before, something that fought and loved and lost. He shrugged. Feels like me though, like he is me, like we're the same soul wearing different skins across different lifetimes. Jiraiya processed that with the gravitas of a sage and the internal screaming of a man who realized his student's kid might literally be a reincarnated deity. And the invulnerability? A blessing, Naruto said. Then quieter, with an edge of something almost sad, or a curse, depends on the day. Jiraiya decided he needed a drink, multiple drinks, but first, Tanzaku Town. They stopped at a small town along the way. Hot springs, good food. Jiraiya went to research at the women's bath. Naruto got a room at the hotel and ordered room service. The knock came at midnight. 2 presences outside his door, both massive, both predatory. One cold and precise, the other wild and bloodthirsty. Naruto's runic tattoos illuminated beneath his sleeping shirt before his eyes even opened. Baldur's instincts, honed across eons of combat, had him on his feet and facing the door 3 seconds before it opened. The door slid aside, revealing 2 figures in black cloaks patterned with red clouds. Akatsuki, Itachi Uchiha, stood at the front. Red Sharingan spinning lazily, face unreadable, the epitome of lethal composure. Behind him, towering and shark-grinning, stood Kasame Hoshigaki. Samehada, the living, scaled sword that devoured chakra, pulsed eagerly on his back. Naruto Uzumaki, Itachi said. His voice was flat, emotionless. You'll come with us. Naruto looked at the two S-rank criminals who just invited themselves into his hotel room. He looked at the clock. He looked back at them. It's midnight, Naruto said. I was sleeping. This is rude. Kasame's grin stretched impossibly wide, showing rows of pointed teeth. The brat's got attitude. Let me shut him up, Itachi. He unslung Samehada and swung it in a horizontal arc at Naruto's torso. A blow meant to shred flesh and absorb chakra in one devastating motion. Naruto caught the blade. His right hand closed around Samehada's scaled surface. The living sword writhed, its scales grind against his palm, trying to shave the skin from his bones. Scales bent. Scales broke. Naruto's palm stayed pristine, unblemished, unbloodied, unimpressed. Samehada screamed. The living weapon actually screamed. A high-pitched shriek of pain and confusion as its scales shattered against flesh harder than diamond. It had never encountered anything it couldn't devour. It had never met a being whose body refused to yield at the molecular level. What the hell is this kid made of? Kasame yanked at his sword, pulling with all the considerable strength of a former seven swordsman. Samehada didn't budge. Naruto's grip held like the boy's hand was welded to the weapon. You guys are those Akatsuki losers, right? Naruto's eyes began to glow. His tattoos brightened, filling the small hotel room with ice blue luminescence. The ones who want Kurama? Bad news for you. He grinned. Baldur's grin, savage and hungry and absolutely thrilled to have something powerful to fight. I am invulnerable to every threat, physical or magical, and you're in my way. He pulled Kasame forward by his own sword, closing the distance. His free hand drove upward, a devastating uppercut that connected with Kasame's jaw with the force of a natural disaster. The shark man's feet left the ground. His body rocketed upward, crashed through the ceiling, through the room above, through that ceiling too, through the roof. 3 floors of building material disintegrating around his ascending body. He burst out the top of the hotel in a shower of debris and kept going another 50 feet into the night sky before gravity remembered he existed and dragged him back down into the wreckage. The entire hotel shook. Guests screamed. Walls cracked. Dust rained from the damaged ceiling above Naruto's room. Naruto turned to Itachi, still holding the whimpering Samehada in one hand. He tossed the sword aside. It clattered into the corner, shivering, refusing to make further contact with the golden boy. Your turn, Uchiha. Naruto's voice had dropped. Lower, older. The god was at the helm now. Go ahead, show me those famous eyes. Itachi's expression didn't change, but his Mangekyo Sharingan flared to life. The 3-pointed design spinning in both eyes, the most devastating genjutsu weapon in the known world activating at full power. Tsukuyomi. The world shifted. Reality folded. Naruto found himself in a realm of inverted colors. Red sky, black ground, a cross standing at the center of an empty void. In standard Tsukuyomi, the victim would be bound to that cross, tortured for what felt like 72 hours in the span of a single second. Their mind would break, their will would shatter. Naruto found himself standing freely in the void, unbound, unrestrained. He looked around at the nightmare dimension with vague curiosity, like a tourist examining a moderately interesting art installation. This is your big move? Naruto's voice echoed from everywhere at once. The red sky rippled. The ground trembled. Inside the Tsukuyomi, something stirred behind Naruto. A golden light, warm, blinding, absolutely enormous. The spectral form of the god of light manifested, filling the nightmare realm with radiance that burned away the darkness like sunrise devouring shadows. A towering figure covered in Norse runes, eyes like twin suns, presence so overwhelming that the very fabric of the Tsukuyomi began to tear. And in the background, Kurama materialized. All 9 tails, eyes gleaming with vicious amusement, his massive form adding its own weight to the psychic pushback. Stupid little Uchiha, the fox rumbled, laughing. You think a parlor trick breaks a god's mind? You think a parlor trick breaks a god's mind? Naruto's voice repeated, overlapping with the fox's, and the words hammered into Itachi's consciousness like physical blows. The Tsukuyomi shattered. In the real world, Itachi staggered backward. Blood poured from his left eye. Not a slow trickle, but a heavy stream running down his cheek and dripping onto his Akatsuki cloak. His right eye bled too. The Mangekyo Sharingan deactivated involuntarily, the strain of having his technique forcibly broken, exceeding anything his optical nerve could sustain. Itachi coughed. Blood sprayed from his lips. His vision swam. Through the blur, he saw Naruto still standing exactly where he'd been, unmoved, unaffected, that glowing grin still in place. "My turn," Naruto said. He took a step forward. Itachi made a decision in that instant, the fastest strategic assessment of his career. This boy was beyond them, beyond him and Kasame combined, beyond anything the Akatsuki had prepared for. Engaging further meant death. He formed a hand sign and vanished, reappearing in the rubble above where Kasame lay groaning. He grabbed his partner by the cloak collar. "We're leaving. Now." "What?" Kasame tried to protest through a jaw that might have been broken. The mission is over." Itachi's voice carried something it almost never did, urgency. "That boy is an anomaly beyond our reach. We need to report to leader." They vanished. Body flicker technique carrying them away into the night, leaving behind a destroyed hotel, a whimpering sentient sword, and a 12-year-old god standing in the wreckage with a disappointed expression. "Aw, man," Naruto said, looking at the sword-shaped hole in his wall and the person-shaped holes in his ceiling. "Pervy Sage is gonna make me pay for this, isn't he?" Jiraiya arrived 30 seconds later, burst through what remained of the door, combat ready, Rasengan already forming in his palm. He took in the destruction, the holes in the ceiling, the unconscious guests in the hallway, Naruto standing in the center looking mildly annoyed. "What happened?" the sage demanded. Two Akatsuki guys showed up, Shark Dude and Sasuke's brother. Naruto jerked his thumb upward. "Shark Dude's somewhere in the upper floors. Itachi's eyes bounced off my brain and broke his face. They ran away." Jiraiya stared. His Rasengan fizzled out. "They ran away?" "Yeah, didn't even get to really fight." "Lame," Naruto yawned. "Can we get a different hotel? This one's got holes in it." Jiraiya sat down on what remained of the bed and pulled out his hip flask. He took a very long drink. "I'm too old for this," he muttered. "You're too old for a lot of things, pervy sage. Respect your elders, brat." Tanzaku Town appeared on the horizon 2 days later. A gambling mecca, flashy lights, loud crowds, the constant sound of slot machines and groaning losers. Somewhere in this den of vice, one of the legendary 3 ninja was drinking herself into a coma. They found Tsunade in the 3rd bar they checked. Blonde, busty, ageless thanks to a transformation jutsu that kept her looking 30 despite being well past 50. She sat at the bar with a sake bottle, a massive gambling debt, and an expression that dared the universe to give her one more reason to stay angry at it. Jiraiya slid onto the stool beside her. "Yo, Tsunade, long time." "Go away, Jiraiya." She didn't look up from her cup. "Whatever you want, the answer's no. The village needs a Hokage." "Still no. The 3rd is dead." Tsunade's hand paused mid-pour. A flicker of something, grief, guilt, old wounds reopening, crossed her face before she buried it beneath another drink. "Then pick someone else. I'm done with that village." "The council wants you, Tsunade. The will of fire needs." "The will of fire is a fairy tale old men tell themselves to justify sending children to die." Tsunade's voice went hard. Her fist tightened around her sake cup until cracks spiderwebbed through the ceramic. "I've lost everyone who ever mattered to me because of that village and its endless wars. My brother, my lover, my student. I'm done losing people. I'm done." Naruto listened from 3 stools down, eating peanuts. He'd been quiet, observing, letting the adults talk. But something in Tsunade's words, the pain, the resignation, the surrender, hit a nerve. Baldur had given up once too in another life, had stopped caring, had let himself become something hollow and angry. Naruto refused that path for himself, and he'd be damned if he watched someone else walk it. "Hey, Granny," Naruto called out. Tsunade's eye twitched at the nickname. "You're giving up because you're scared of losing more people, but running away doesn't stop the losses. It just means you're alone when they happen." Tsunade turned slowly, fixing Naruto with a glare that had made Anbu captains flinch. "Excuse me? Who's the brat?" "Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage." He grinned, all confidence. "And you're Tsunade, the legendary ninja who's hiding in a bar because she's afraid. That's a waste. Konoha needs you. Those people need someone strong to protect them. and you're sitting here feeling sorry for yourself instead. The temperature in the bar dropped. Tsunade stood up, full height, shoulders squared, the full weight of Asana's presence bearing down on a 12-year-old. You've got a lot of nerve, kid. You don't know anything about loss. I know about being alone. Naruto met her gaze without flinching. I know about everyone treating you like you're worthless. I know about wanting to give up, but I didn't, and I won't, because the moment you stop fighting for the people you love, you've already lost everything. Tsunade stared at him. Something in his blue eyes, that ancient burning certainty, reminded her of someone, of Nawaki, of Dan, of everyone she'd lost who carried that same foolish, beautiful dream of protecting others. You really think you can be Hokage? She asked. Her voice had lost its edge. I don't think it, I know it. Naruto stood up from his stool. And I'll prove it. Right now, hit me. Jiraiya choked on his drink. Naruto, what? Hit me, Naruto repeated, looking up at Tsunade. Your best shot. The famous punch that levels buildings. Right here. He pointed at his own face. If I'm still standing after, you come back to the village. Tsunade's eyes narrowed. A bet. She lived for bets, and she always lost them. But this one seemed like a sure thing. Her chakra-enhanced strength could shatter mountains. She'd leveled castle walls with a single blow. There wasn't a human being alive who could take her full-force punch to the face and remain conscious. You're insane, Tsunade said, but she was already pulling her fist back. Don't blame me when you wake up in a hospital, brat. She punched him, full force. Maximum chakra enhancement. The strength of 100 technique amplifying her already legendary power to its absolute peak. Her fist connected with Naruto's face, his cheek, specifically, with enough concentrated force to demolish a mountain. The shockwave leveled the bar. Every bottle behind the counter shattered. Every stool and table flew outward in a ring of destruction. The building's windows exploded outward. People on the street stumbled. A crack opened in the road outside. Jiraiya, already braced for it, still got pushed back 10 feet. The dust settled. Naruto stood exactly where he'd been. Feet planted, head unmoved. His cheek didn't even have a red mark. He looked up at Tsunade with that confident grin, those blue eyes burning with ancient divine fire. You punch hard, Granny. He tilted his head, but nowhere near hard enough to stop me. Tsunade's fist was still extended. She could feel it, the reverberation running back through her arm, her elbow, her shoulder. Her bones ached from the reflected impact. She'd hit something that shouldn't exist. Something that her strength, the strongest physical force in the ninja world, bounced off of like a child hitting a wall. She pulled her fist back slowly, stared at the unmarked face in front of her, stared at the glowing runes visible through the torn jacket on his chest, stared at the ancient knowing eyes hiding behind a child's face. What are you? She whispered. The future Hokage. Naruto said simply, Now come home, Granny. Your village needs you. Tsunade stood there for a long, long moment, the ruined bar around them, the sound of people outside gathering to stare at the destruction. Jiraiya watching from the side with that annoying, knowing smirk. And this boy, this impossible, infuriating, blazing child, standing in front of her, inviting her back to the life she'd abandoned. She started laughing. A full, genuine laugh that she hadn't released in years. It shook her shoulders and made tears prick the corners of her eyes. You insane, stubborn brat, she said, wiping her eyes. Fine, I'll come back, I'll take the hat, but you're buying me new sake. You and that idiot behind you. Deal! Naruto thrust his fist in the air. All right! Road trip success. Jiraiya sighed with profound relief and profound fear simultaneously. The village had its 5th Hokage, and Naruto had just passed the world's most violent interview process. The trip home took a week. During that time, Naruto learned 2 things. First, Jiraiya was an excellent teacher when he stopped being a pervert for 5 minutes. The sage taught Naruto the Rasengan, his father's signature technique, a sphere of spinning chakra condensed into the palm. Naruto mastered it in 3 days, rather than the standard 3 years. His chakra control was terrible, but his raw divine power compensated absurdly. He could force the technique into existence through sheer spiritual pressure alone. The resulting Rasengan was larger, denser, and more destructive than any version Jiraiya had ever seen. Second, Tsunade was genuinely fun to be around once she stopped being miserable. She drank like a fish, swore like a sailor, and had a gambling addiction that bordered on clinical. But she also told stories about Naruto's parents, how Minato was a gentle genius, how Kushina was a terrifying redhead who could punch harder than most jonin. Naruto soaked up every word like a sponge. "Your mom would have loved you," Tsunade said one evening, watching the sunset from their campsite. She was a force. Like you, loud, stubborn, powerful, and too kind for her own good. Naruto's grin softened into something real and raw and aching. "I wish I could have met her." "You carry her fire, trust me." Tsunade ruffled his hair. "Now go get more firewood before I freeze." "I can't feel cold, Granny." "Then go get it out of politeness, you overpowered brat." Konoha welcomed its new Hokage with ceremony and relief. Tsunade took the hat, took the office, took one look at the mountain of paperwork on the desk, and immediately regretted everything. But she stayed. She stayed because a golden-haired boy made her believe in the village again. Life settled into something approaching normalcy. Missions, training, ramen. Naruto's reputation grew within the village. Whispers of what he'd done during the Chunin exams, during the invasion on the road. People who'd once thrown rocks now stepped aside respectfully. Children who'd been told to avoid him now chased after him asking for autographs. The shift was slow but undeniable. Naruto noticed. He pretended he didn't, but he noticed. And each small acknowledgement, each nod, each wave, each person calling him by name instead of demon brat, landed harder than any punch ever could on his invulnerable heart. But shadows were gathering. In a dark room in Otogakure, Orochimaru whispered promises of power to a boy with red eyes and a brother-sized hole in his chest. The curse mark on Sasuke's neck pulsed. The poison of inadequacy that had been building since the Bell test. Since watching Naruto tear reality apart over and over while Sasuke struggled to keep pace. Reached critical mass. Sasuke couldn't sleep anymore. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Naruto. Naruto catching Zabuza's blade. Naruto ripping apart snakes. Naruto shattering arena floors. Naruto walking through fire. Naruto. Always ahead, always above, always untouchable. How was Sasuke supposed to kill Itachi when he couldn't even touch his own teammate? The Sound Four came at midnight. 4 of Orochimaru's elite, offering a path to power. A way to close the gap. A promise that the Snake Sanin could grant Sasuke the strength to match gods. Sasuke left. He wrote his note. He packed his bag. And he walked through Konoha's gates without looking back. Morning came. Sakura found the note. Tears, screaming, a desperate run to the Hokage's office. Tsunade's face went stone hard. She was the Hokage, but she lacked available jonin. Most were deployed on other missions. The village still recovering from the invasion's toll. The retrieval team assembled from what was available. Shikamaru as squad leader, Choji, Kiba, Neji, still nursing bruised pride and cracked ribs from the Chunin exams, and Naruto. 5 Genin and a Chunin against Orochimaru's elite bodyguard squad. Shikamaru outlined the plan as they moved through the forest at speed. The Sound Four will fight us one at a time as rearguard while Sasuke pushes ahead. We peel off fighters at each encounter. Or, Naruto said from the front of the formation, I punch through all of them and grab Sasuke. That's actually, yeah, Shikamaru sighed. That's probably the better plan. Troublesome. They caught the Sound Four's trail within hours. The first ambush came in a clearing. Jirobo, the largest of the 4, emerging from the earth in a cloud of rock and debris. He summoned a dome of stone around the team, trapping them. You're all gonna die in here, Jirobo announced smugly, his massive frame blocking the only weakness in the dome. This prison drains chakra. You'll be empty husks within. Naruto punched the dome. It exploded, every piece of it. The entire stone prison, 20 feet thick, reinforced with earth chakra, detonated outward in a shower of rubble that cleared half the clearing's trees. Jirobo flew backward with the debris, his body ragdolling through the forest. We don't have time for this, Naruto said, stepping through the hole. Choji, finish him off. Everyone else, keep moving. Choji nodded, already popping his expansion pills. The rest of the team pushed forward. Next came Kidomaru, Spider-Man of the Sound Four, 6 arms, web attacks, long-range specialist. He positioned himself in the trees, firing hardened web arrows at the team from extreme distance. An arrow hit Naruto in the chest. It shattered into fragments. Naruto didn't break stride. Neji, Naruto said without looking back, you want payback for the exams? This one's yours. Neji's jaw tightened. He split off without a word, Byakugan flaring, hunting the spider through the trees. He had something to prove, and Naruto had just given him the chance. Sakon and Ukon, the twin brothers sharing one body, intercepted next. They tried to merge with Kiba's body as a parasitic attack. Naruto appeared between them, grabbed Sakon by the throat, and threw him into a cliff face hard enough to embed the sound ninja 3 feet deep in solid rock. Kiba handled the other one. Naruto was already moving again. Shikamaru, you're with me. The bone user appeared last. Kimimaro, pale, sickly, beautiful in a dying flower kind of way. The last of the Kaguya clan, his body a weapon of regenerating bone harder than steel. He stood in a field of flowers, Sasuke's barrel coffin already gone. Sent ahead toward the valley of the end and the border to sound. You will go no further, Kimimaro said, drawing a bone sword from his own palm with a wet, clicking sound. Lord Orochimaru requires the Uchiha. Naruto didn't stop. He ran straight at Kimimaro at full speed. The bone user thrust forward. A lance of hardened bone aimed at Naruto's heart. It struck him in the chest. The bone shattered against Naruto's sternum. Fragments scattered in every direction. Kimimaro's eyes widened. The first real surprise the emotionless warrior had shown. Impossible. My bones are harder than... Nothing's harder than me, Naruto said, and punched Kimimaro in the face so hard the bone user's entire skeleton vibrated. Kimimaro flew backward, his body a blur, crashing through the flower field and digging a trench 50 meters long. To his credit, Kimimaro got back up. His bones regenerated, his curse mark activated, dark patterns spreading across his skin, his body warping into something less human and more weapon. Dance of the Clematis, a massive bone drill encased his arm, spiraling with impossible sharpness. He charged. Naruto met him head on. The bone drill hit Naruto's palm and crumbled. Layer by layer, the hardened bone ground itself to dust against Naruto's invulnerable skin. Kimimaro kept pushing, kept driving, kept throwing every ounce of his fading life into the attack. His illness flared. Blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. You're dying, Naruto said, holding the bone drill in one hand, watching the light fade from Kimimaro's fevered eyes. And you're wasting the last of your life fighting for a guy who sees you as a tool. My life belongs to Lord Orochimaru, Kimimaro wheezed. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Naruto grabbed the bone weapon, snapped it off, and shoved Kimimaro backward with an open palm. Hard enough to send him flying, soft enough to keep from killing a dying man. Stay down. I've got somewhere to be. Kimimaro collapsed in the flower field, his body finally giving in to the disease that had been eating him alive. He stared at the sky through dimming eyes, and his last thought was, that boy, he could have killed me instantly. Why didn't he? The Valley of the End. Two massive statues, Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, facing each other across a waterfall that roared into a basin below. A monument to the greatest rivalry in ninja history. And standing on Madara's head, Curse Mark Level 2 fully active, dark wings spread from his back, a Sasuke Uchiha who barely looked human anymore. Naruto landed on Hashirama's head. The stone cracked beneath his feet from the impact of his arrival. He straightened up and looked across the waterfall at his best friend, transformed, corrupted, eyes spinning with the Sharingan's desperate hunger for power. Sasuke. Naruto's voice carried over the roar of water, firm, commanding, the voice of someone who'd stopped asking. It's over. You're coming home. Don't tell me what to do, Naruto. Sasuke's voice cracked with emotion. Rage, jealousy, desperation, all of it boiling over. You don't understand. You were born with everything. This power, this strength. You didn't earn it. You were given it. And I have to claw for every scrap of strength just to keep you in my sight. You think I asked for this? Naruto shot back, and there was heat in his words. Real, human heat beneath the god's armor. You think I chose to be invulnerable? To be alone? Every person in that village looked at me like a monster for 12 years. You had people who loved you. You had a clan. You had everything I ever wanted, and you're throwing it all away because you can't stand that someone's stronger than you. Sasuke's face twisted. The curse mark pulsed. His hand crackled with black lightning. Chidori, amplified by Orochimaru's corruption, darker and deadlier than anything Kakashi had ever taught him. I'll show you, Sasuke screamed. He launched from Madara's head, wings carrying him at incredible speed, his Chidori-charged hand extended, aimed directly at Naruto's heart. Chidori! Black lightning screamed through the air. The technique hit Naruto dead in the center of his chest. Point blank. Full power. Every ounce of Sasuke's hatred, his jealousy, his desperation, channeled into a single point of piercing destruction. The black lightning crackled furiously against Naruto's skin. It screamed. It fought. It tried to penetrate the invulnerable flesh with everything it had. The energy discharge was visible for miles, a pillar of dark electricity erupting upward from the point of contact, shredding Naruto's jacket, tearing his shirt apart, revealing the full network of runic tattoos blazing across his chest and torso. The Chidori died. The lightning faded. Naruto's chest, bare, covered in glowing Azer runes, unblemished, unburned, unmarked, stood exposed to the morning sun. Sasuke's hand was still pressed against it. He could feel the skin beneath his palm, smooth, warm, impossible. His Chidori had done nothing. His strongest attack, his darkest power, all of it meant nothing against this body. "Are you done throwing your tantrum, Sasuke?" Naruto asked. His voice was deep now, gravelly. The playful energy gone. Baldur fully present, looking through blue eyes that held an eternity of experience behind them. "Why?" Sasuke's voice broke. The curse mark fluctuated on his skin. His wings trembled. "Why can't I hurt you? What are you?" "I'm your friend, you idiot." Naruto grabbed Sasuke's wrist and pulled the Chidori dead hand away from his chest. His grip was iron, unbreakable, unyielding. "I'm the guy who sat next to you in class, the guy who ate lunch with you, the guy who fought beside you in Wave, and I'm the guy who is refusing to let you throw your life away because you feel inadequate." Sasuke yanked backward, freeing his wrist with a violent twist. He created distance, landing on the water's surface, standing atop the waterfall's pool. His Sharingan blazed. Tears mixed with hatred streamed down his transformed face. "You don't get to decide my path." Sasuke formed hand signs at blistering speed. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. A massive sphere of flame erupted from his mouth, amplified by the curse mark, larger than any version he'd ever produced, hot enough to melt stone. Naruto walked into it, didn't dodge, didn't deflect, walked forward through the roaring flames like they were a summer breeze. The fire parted around him, unable to touch him, unable to burn what was built to be untouchable. He emerged from the other side of the fireball, still walking, eyes locked on Sasuke, runic tattoos casting golden light through the smoke. "Is that all?" Naruto asked. Sasuke threw everything. Shadow Shuriken technique. The blades bounced off Naruto's body. Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. A dozen small fireballs that hit Naruto and accomplished less than a warm breeze. He activated the curse mark to its maximum, felt the power flooding his limbs, and charged in with taijutsu, fists and kicks enhanced by dark chakra, moving faster than he'd ever moved, hitting harder than he'd ever hit. Naruto blocked each strike with a single hand. The other hand stayed in his pocket. His expression was patient, sad, like a parent watching a child's tantrum burn itself out. Every punch Sasuke threw bounced off Naruto's palm. Every kick met an immovable forearm. Every desperate combination met a wall of divine flesh that simply couldn't be moved. "I trained," Sasuke screamed between strikes. "I sacrificed. I gave up everything for power." His fist drove into Naruto's chest. Nothing. His elbow crashed into Naruto's jaw. Nothing. His knee drove into Naruto's stomach. Nothing. "Why isn't it enough?" Naruto caught Sasuke's next punch, held it, looked the Uchiha in the eyes. "Because power without people is just loneliness with better weapons, Sasuke. Orochimaru's never going to give you what you really need, and what you really need is to come home and let us help you. Let go of me." Sasuke channeled one final Chidori. Everything he had left, every drop of chakra, every bit of curse mark power, compressed into his free hand. "Chidori stream!" He drove it forward with a scream that tore his throat raw. Naruto took it to the face. The lightning exploded against his forehead. Sparks flew in every direction. The water beneath them evaporated in a circle. Sasuke pushed with everything, legs braced, teeth grinding, veins standing out on his neck. The lightning faded. Naruto blinked. Okay, that one tingled. Something broke in Sasuke's eyes. The fight drained out of him like water from a cracked cup. His arms dropped. His curse mark receded. His wings dissolved. He stood on the water as just a boy again, exhausted, broken, tears streaming freely now that the pride had nothing left to hide behind. "How?" Sasuke whispered. How am I supposed to kill Itachi when I can't even scratch you? You're not supposed to kill Itachi alone, moron. Naruto released his wrist gently. You've got a team. You've got friends. You've got me. When the time comes, we'll face your brother together. But you don't get to sell your soul to a snake for power that's never going to be enough anyway. Sasuke's legs gave out. He collapsed to his knees on the water's surface, only staying above the pool because of residual chakra in his feet. His head hung. His shoulders shook. Naruto looked at him, really looked, saw the broken boy beneath the pride, saw the loneliness, saw himself reflected in a dark mirror. His heart ached. His golden, warm, stubbornly human heart that no amount of divine invulnerability could shield from empathy. Come on, Sasuke, Naruto said, crouching down. His voice was gentle now. The god had retreated. The friend remained. Let's go home. I can't go back, Sasuke croaked. I betrayed everyone. You ran away because you were scared and angry. That's human. We'll figure the rest out. Naruto's hand landed on Sasuke's shoulder. Warm, steady, impossibly reassuring. The people who matter will forgive you. And if anyone gives you grief, I'll suplex them into the ground. Fair? A broken sound escaped Sasuke's throat. It might have been a laugh. It might have been a sob. You're the most annoying person I've ever met. That's what friends are for. Naruto grinned and stood, hauling Sasuke to his feet. The Uchiha's legs barely supported him. The curse-marked backlash was eating him alive, his body trembling from chakra exhaustion. Without hesitation, Naruto ducked under Sasuke's arm and supported his weight. I can walk, Sasuke started. Shut up. You can barely stand. They made it 2 steps before Sasuke's legs gave out entirely. Naruto sighed, shook his head, and tossed his unconscious best friend over his shoulder like a sack of rice. Every damn time, Naruto muttered, adjusting the weight. I gotta do everything around here. He turned and began walking. Back toward Konoha. Back toward home. The waterfall roared behind him. The statues of Hashirama and Madara watched in silence, 2 rivals from another age witnessing a new generation's story play out differently. Naruto walked at an easy pace, Sasuke draped over his shoulder, the morning sun catching his golden hair and the glowing runes on his exposed skin. He looked like what he was, a god carrying his friend home from the edge of oblivion. Halfway back, the retrieval team met him on the road. Shikamaru, bandaged and limping. Kiba, bruised but grinning. Neji, stoic but alive. Choji, exhausted but victorious. Each of them had won their fights. Each of them had pushed beyond their limits. They saw Naruto walking toward them, Sasuke over his shoulder, and every face showed the same expression. Relief mixed with absolute zero surprise. Of course, he just carried him back, Kiba said, shaking his head. Of course. Troublesome, Shikamaru agreed with a smirk. Utterly troublesome. Naruto grinned at them, that brilliant, sunny, infectious grin that somehow made everything feel like it was going to be okay. Yo, everyone alive? Good. Let's go home. I'm starving, Naruto, Neji said as the blonde passed him. The Hyuga's voice carried something new, respect, hard-won and genuine. Thank you for what you said in the arena about destiny. Naruto paused, looked at Neji over his shoulder. Did you fight your hardest today? I did. Did you win because of destiny or because you chose to? Neji was quiet for a moment. Then the corner of his mouth lifted, the closest thing to a smile anyone had ever seen on the Hyuga genius's face. I chose to. There you go. Naruto winked. Now hurry up. Ramen waits for nobody. They reached Konoha's gates at sunset. The guards on duty stared at the battered team of young ninja limping home with an unconscious traitor draped over the golden boy's shoulder. One of them opened his mouth to say something. Naruto shot him a look. The guard shut his mouth. Straight to the hospital. Sasuke in a bed, chakra-sealed restraints in place, Umbu guards outside the door. Tsunade herself examined the curse mark, her face grim. I can suppress it, she said, running diagnostic jutsu over Sasuke's unconscious form. It'll take time, but with the right seals we can keep Orochimaru's influence in check. Good. Naruto stood by the window, arms crossed, watching Sasuke sleep. The golden sunset painted everything amber and warm. His tattoos glowed faintly in the dying light. He's going to be pissed when he wakes up. He tried to defect to a mass-murdering Sanin, Tsunade said flatly. Being pissed is the least of his problems. There will be consequences. But not execution. Naruto's voice carried a weight that made it clear this wasn't a request. He's my friend. He made a mistake. People deserve second chances. Tsunade looked at the 12-year-old issuing directives to the Hokage with the authority of someone much older and much more powerful. She should have been annoyed. Instead, she felt something warm in her chest, a certainty that this boy would indeed wear the hat someday, and probably sooner than anyone expected. No execution, she agreed. Probation, psychological evaluation, training restrictions until we're sure the curse mark is contained. And he owes you a hell of an apology. I'll beat one out of him if I have to. Naruto grinned, and the tension in the room broke. Later that night, Naruto sat on the fourth Hokage's stone head, his favorite spot. The whole village spread below him, lights flickering on as darkness fell, the bustle of evening life, the smell of cooking food, and the sound of children being called home for dinner. His village, his people, the ones he'd protect with every fiber of his being, every ounce of divine power running through his indestructible body. Kurama stirred in the seal. Not bad, kid, the fox rumbled. You handled Uchiha Brat without killing him. The old me would have burned him to ash. The old you is a grumpy fox in a cage, Naruto replied mentally, grinning at the night sky. And I'm gonna let you out of that cage someday, when you stop being such a jerk about it. Kurama huffed. Bold words from a brat who shares his soul with a dead Norse god. Baldur's not dead. He's me. I'm him. We're the same. Naruto touched his chest where the runes pulsed in the moonlight, just living a different story this time around. From deeper in the seal, in the golden hall behind the golden throne, the Aether presence stirred and smiled. A different story indeed. A better one. One where invulnerability wasn't a curse. It was a gift used to protect rather than destroy. Where the body that couldn't be harmed sheltered a heart that chose to love rather than rage. Naruto Uzumaki, the god of light reborn. Vessel of the Nine Tails, Genin of Konoha, future Hokage, indestructible, unbreakable, unstoppable, and they hadn't seen anything yet. But tonight was for Ramen, and for knowing his best friend was safe, and for sitting on his father's stone head, watching the village he'd sworn to protect. Hey, old man, Naruto whispered to the carved face beneath him. I'm bringing honor to the name. Just watch me. A star shot across the sky above Konoha. If you believed in signs, you might have called it a blessing. Naruto believed in signs. He grinned up at the sky, golden and wild and infinite, and decided tomorrow was going to be a great day. The summons arrived at dawn. A hawk circling Naruto's apartment window with a scroll tied to its leg bearing Tsunade's seal. He was already awake, already dressed, already standing in his kitchen eating cold ramen from last night because he'd forgotten to buy groceries again. The scroll said 2 words, my office. Now, Jiraiya was waiting there when Naruto arrived. The Toad Sage leaned against Tsunade's desk with his arms crossed and a travel pack slung over one shoulder, grinning like a man about to drop life-changing news on a teenager. Pack your bags, kid, Jiraiya said. We're leaving the village, 2.5 years on the road. Just you and me. Naruto's eyebrows shot up. Why? Tsunade leaned forward, hands clasped. Akatsuki is coming for you. The 2 who attacked your hotel were just the beginning. They have 9 members, all S-rank, all hunting Jinchuriki. You need to be ready. I already handled 2 of them. You repelled them, Tsunade cut in. They'll come back stronger, with better plans, with weapons designed for you. And while you're probably the strongest individual combatant on this continent right now, she paused, letting that admission hang in the air. You're still raw, unrefined. You hit like an earthquake, but you fight like a brawler. Jiraiya is going to teach you how to think while you destroy things. Naruto looked at Jiraiya. The sage shrugged. Plus, I'll teach you your old man's techniques. The Rasengan was just the appetizer, kid. The grin that broke across Naruto's face could have lit the office on its own. When do we leave? 30 minutes. Say your goodbyes. He found Sasuke first, still hospital-bound, still chakra-sealed, still staring at the ceiling with the hollow expression of someone whose entire worldview had been demolished. Naruto stood in the doorway and knocked on the frame. I'm leaving for a while, Naruto said. Training trip. Years, probably. Sasuke turned his head just enough to see the blonde. Something complicated moved behind his eyes. Good for you. When I come back, we're training together. You and me. Like it should have been from the start. Naruto pointed at him. So get your head straight while I'm gone. Do the therapy, talk to Kakashi, and stop brooding. It makes you look constipated. A muscle twitched at the corner of Sasuke's mouth. It might have been the ghost of a smile. Get out of my room, idiot! Love you too, bastard! Naruto threw a wave over his shoulder and was gone. He found Hinata second. She was training at the Hyuga compound's outdoor grounds, striking wooden posts with gentle fist palms, her Byakugan activated, sweat glistening on her brow. She sensed him before he spoke, those lavender eyes going wide as she deactivated her bloodline and turned. And Naruto-kun! Her hands flew together in front of her chest, pressing against each other. That blush, immediate, fierce, spreading from her cheeks to the tips of her ears. Hey, Hinata. He walked up to her with his hands in his pockets, that easy golden warmth radiating from his posture. I'm gonna be gone for a couple years. Training stuff. Just wanted to say. He rubbed the back of his neck, suddenly finding the sky very interesting. Keep getting stronger while I'm away, yeah? You've got something special in you. I can feel it when you fight. Like there's a whole ocean in there waiting to break loose. Hinata's eyes shimmered, her mouth opened. Words tried to form. Failed. Tried again. I will. I'll train every day, and when you come back, I'll be someone worth standing beside. You already are, Naruto said so simply and honestly that Hinata's knees wobbled. He grinned and turned, walking away with a wave. See you in a couple years. She watched him go until he disappeared around the compound wall. Then she pressed both hands against her burning face and sank to her knees in the training yard, heart hammering, a smile blooming beneath her fingers that she couldn't have killed with a kunai. The road opened up like a gift. Jiraiya and Naruto, the Toad Sage and the God of Light, cutting through the world beyond Konoha's walls at a pace that ate up countries. They trained in mountain ranges, in deserts, on volcanic islands where the heat reminded Naruto of his own inner fire. Jiraiya pushed him hard, harder than he'd ever pushed a student. Your body's invincible, Jiraiya explained on their first training day, standing atop a cliff overlooking an empty canyon. But your mind can still grow. Your speed has room to sharpen. Your technique can evolve beyond punching things really hard. He paused. Although punching things really hard is clearly working for you. So what are you teaching me? Naruto bounced on his heels, golden tattoos flickering with anticipation. Sage mode, nature energy absorption, and everything your father left behind, the Flying Thunder God, the Rasengan variants, spatial awareness jutsu. Jiraiya's expression turned serious. You've got the raw power of a god walking among mortals. My job is to make sure you've got the precision to use it without leveling friendly cities. Naruto trained. For the first time in his life, he really trained, pushing beyond the passive dominance of his Acer inheritance and actively developing his capabilities. His divine body absorbed nature energy like a sponge drinking water. Sage mode came to him in 3 months rather than the usual 3 years because his cells were already saturated with power from beyond this world. The runic tattoos evolved. New patterns emerged across his skin during intense meditation, golden lines layering over the icy blue, forming shapes that Jiraiya couldn't identify but that Naruto recognized from dreams. Acer battle scripts, warriors' marks from Asgard's armory. Each one carried a technique locked inside it, waiting for the right moment to unlock. One night, 6 months into the trip, Naruto sat cross-legged on a mountaintop while lightning crashed around him. His eyes were closed. His tattoos blazed gold and blue simultaneously. And from his palms, twin spheres of pure radiant light materialized, burning white, warm as a star's core, pulsing with the same energy that powered his invulnerability. Ezer Radiance, Naruto breathed, naming the technique as it named itself inside his blood. The light expanded, washing over the mountaintop, turning night to day for a mile in every direction. Everything the light touched felt warm, healed, energized. This was Baldur's true domain, the light that gave life, the brilliance that pushed back the void. Jiraiya watched from a safe distance, shielding his eyes, mouth hanging open. He's literally glowing like the sun, the sage muttered. Minato, your kid is something else. The second technique came 8 months later, born from a sparring session where Jiraiya summoned Gamabunta to test Naruto's crowd control capabilities. The massive toad boss took one look at the golden teenager and said, "This is the brat you've been bragging about?" Before swinging his tanto in a horizontal slash, Naruto raised one hand. Runes ignited along his forearm in a cascading chain reaction. From his palm, a wave of compressed golden energy erupted forward, shaped like a wall, moving like a tsunami, hitting Gamabunta's blade with enough force to stop the massive sword cold and push the building-sized toad backward on his feet. Allfather's palm, Naruto declared, his voice carrying that dual-tone depth when new Azure power manifested. The technique was a directed force blast. Pure divine willpower made physical, carrying the weight of Odin's lineage in every molecule. Gamabunta resheathed his tanto and gave Naruto a long, evaluating look through his pipe smoke. Jiraiya, the toad boss rumbled. Your student scares me. I'm going home. He vanished in a poof of smoke. Jiraiya wrote everything down, filled 3 notebooks with observations, theories, and diagrams of Naruto's expanding capabilities. The boy was growing at a rate that made prodigies look pedestrian. His speed, already beyond Jonin level, pushed into territory that Jiraiya couldn't track without Sage Mode active. His Rasengan variants multiplied. Massive Rasengan, Twin Rasengan, a Rasengan infused with Azure light that burned white gold and hit with triple the normal destructive output. And through it all, Naruto stayed Naruto. He complained about the food. He laughed too loud at his own jokes. He pestered Jiraiya for stories about his parents. He sat by campfires eating instant ramen and talking about becoming Hokage like it was the most obvious thing in the world. He also wrote letters, sent them by hawk whenever they passed through a town with a postal service. Letters to Sasuke, short and blunt. Stop being miserable. I'll spar you when I'm back. Letters to Sakura. Keep studying with Granny. You're going to be incredible. Letters to Iruka. Thanks for everything, Sensei. Miss Ichiraku's. And letters to Hinata, longer than the others, written with a care that Jiraiya noticed but never commented on. Training's going great. Unlock some new stuff that's going to blow everyone's mind. I keep thinking about what you said, about being worth standing beside. You already were. You always were. Train hard. I want to see how strong you've gotten when I'm back. 2.5 years passed like a fast-moving river. Naruto grew taller, his jaw sharpened, his shoulders broadened. The whisker marks on his cheeks looked less like scars and more like war paint now. His hair was wilder, longer, still blazing gold in any light. And his eyes, those ancient blue depths, carried even more of Baldur's knowing weight behind Naruto's eternal warmth. He walked through Konoha's gates on a spring morning. 16 years old, 6 feet tall, radiating power that made the gate guards stand straighter without understanding why. The village stretched before him, rebuilt and thriving after the invasion's damage, the Hokage monument watching over it all with stone faces that Naruto intended to join. Home! Naruto spread his arms wide, grinning at the sky. Did you miss me, Konoha? Because I missed you! Kakashi appeared on a nearby rooftop, his single eye crinkling. Welcome back, Naruto. You've grown enough to take those bells from you with 1 finger instead of 2, Sensei? Let's never test that theory. Sakura found him at Ichiraku's within the hour. Pink-haired, sharp-eyed, carrying herself with the confidence of someone who'd spent 2 years learning to shatter the ground with her fists under Tsunade's mentorship. She punched his arm in greeting. Her knuckles ached. She tried to hide the wince. Idiot, she said, smiling despite herself. You look good. Always do. He slurped noodles. Where's Sasuke? Training ground 3. Kakashi's been working with him since the probation restrictions eased. Her expression softened. He's different, Naruto. Steadier. The therapy helped. He'll never admit it, but getting dragged back was the best thing that happened to him. Naruto found Sasuke at dusk. The Uchiha stood in the training field, shirtless, running through fire jutsu forms with a precision that spoke of obsessive repetition. His body was lean, harder than before, a weapon refined through discipline rather than corruption. The curse-mark seal on his neck was dormant, suppressed by Tsunade's sealing work. Sasuke sensed him, turned. Those Sharingan eyes activated on instinct, then deactivated as recognition kicked in. The two stared at each other across the field, the Golden God and the last Uchiha. 2 years of letters, 2 years of growth, 2 years of a rivalry that had evolved from poisonous comparison into something approaching genuine partnership. You're taller, Sasuke said. You're less broody, Naruto replied. They stared for another 3 seconds. Then both smirked at the exact same time. "Spar?" Naruto asked. "You'll hold back?" "Obviously, I'm a good friend," Sasuke snorted. Then yes, they clashed in the fading light, Sasuke's lightning-fast Sharingan-enhanced taijutsu meeting Naruto's immovable frame. Naruto held back enormously, keeping to 1/10 speed and 100th power, giving Sasuke a real training partner for the first time. The exchange was good, fast, real, and when they broke apart, both breathing hard, well, Sasuke breathing hard, Naruto barely winded, something had settled between them, a foundation rebuilt. "You're faster," Naruto said, "way faster than before." "I know." Sasuke wiped sweat from his jaw. "Still couldn't touch you." "Give it time." Naruto clapped his shoulder. "You'll get there." Sasuke didn't argue. That alone told Naruto how much had changed. The message arrived 3 days later. Emergency hawk from Sunagakure, burning with urgency chakra that made the scroll itself feel hot. Gaara had been captured. 2 Akatsuki members, one a former Iwa bomber, the other a puppet master from the sand itself, had overwhelmed the Kazekage's guard and taken him alive. Shukaku's extraction was underway. Naruto's expression transformed. The easy warmth drained from his face like water through sand, leaving something harder beneath, colder. His tattoos flickered to life under his sleeves, reacting to the sudden spike of intent boiling through his blood. "When?" Naruto asked Tsunade. "Hours ago. A team is already mobilizing. Kakashi's squad plus guys. You're on point." "I'm already gone." Naruto turned and walked from the office. Kakashi, Sakura, and a newly cleared Sasuke fell in beside him within minutes. Team Kakashi, reformed, reunited, and heading into fire, they crossed the desert in record time. Naruto's pace forced the others to their limits. He could have been there in minutes alone, but he kept enough restraint to stay with his team. His jaw was set the entire journey. His eyes burned brighter than the desert sun overhead. Gaara was his friend. The first person outside Konoha who'd understood what it meant to carry a monster inside your belly and hatred in every direction. Naruto had shown Gaara a different path at the Chunin exams, had literally beaten an alternative philosophy into the boy's skull, and now someone was ripping that life away. "I'm going to break them," Naruto said as they approached the Akatsuki hideout, a massive sealed cave in the side of a cliff face, barrier jutsu glowing across its surface. "Whatever's behind that wall, everyone in that cave, they're done." "We need to dismantle the barrier first," Kakashi said, analyzing the seal structure with his Sharingan. "It's a 5-seal barrier. We need to remove 5 tags simultaneously from different..." Naruto punched the boulder blocking the cave entrance. The barrier resisted for approximately 1/3 of a second. Then the divine force behind Naruto's fist overwhelmed the jutsu's matrix, and the entire cliff face exploded inward. Tons of rock, shattered barrier seals, and dust erupted into the cave interior. The ground trembled. The cliff above cracked. What had been an impenetrable fortress became an open wound in the mountainside. Kakashi stared at the destroyed barrier. "Or we could do that." Inside the cave, 2 figures stood over Gaara's motionless body. The extraction statue loomed behind them, massive and grotesque, 9 eyes shut. 2 of those eyes glowed with captured Biju power. The extraction was in progress, Gaara's life force draining, his connection to Shikaku being torn free. Deidara, blonde, one eye scoped with a mechanical lens, mouths in his palms already chewing clay, grinned at the intrusion. "Oh, company, yeah? This should be fun. Sasori, hunched inside his puppet shell, tail curling with poison dripping from every concealed weapon, said nothing. He simply readied his arsenal. Naruto's eyes found Gaara. Pale, still, barely breathing. The faint pulse of Shukaku's chakra still visible through his skin. The extraction incomplete, interrupted by Naruto's explosive entrance. The statue's process had halted the moment the cave was breached. "Is he alive?" Naruto asked. His voice was low, that gravelly undercurrent, the Azer waking up, smelling battle, tasting the intent to end things permanently. "Barely, yeah," Deidara cackled. He'd already launched himself upward on a clay bird, soaring toward the destroyed ceiling and the open sky above. "Come get me if you want your friend back. Let's see how that indestructible body handles art." He threw a volley of clay sculptures downward, birds, spiders, serpents, each one packed with explosive chakra, detonating in a chain that turned the air inside the cave into a firestorm. The explosions washed over Naruto's body and accomplished nothing. He stood in the heart of the blasts with his arms at his sides, golden hair streaming backward from the pressure waves, tattoos igniting blue-white across every visible inch of skin. The heat and force of Deidara's explosives, enough to level a city block, broke against him like ocean spray against a lighthouse. "You call that art?" Naruto called up at the hovering bomber, his voice cutting through the explosion's aftermath like a blade through silk. "That felt like birthday sparklers. My friend is lying on the ground half dead because of you, and the best you've got is fireworks?" Deidara's visible eye twitched. "You arrogant little C3, ultimate art!" He reached into his clay pouch and produced his masterpiece, a massive sculpture that expanded to enormous size as it fell. A bomb large enough to obliterate a village. He dropped it straight down toward Naruto, cackling with manic glee. Naruto launched upward, straight into the falling bomb. His right fist drew back, Aether runes igniting in a cascading chain from shoulder to knuckles, golden light bleeding from between his fingers. He met the C3 bomb at its center and drove his fist straight through it. All-Father's palm! The directed force blast erupted from his fist at the point of contact, traveling through the bomb's clay structure and detonating Deidara's own explosive chakra prematurely. But outward, away from the ground, away from Gaara, away from everything that mattered. The explosion bloomed in the sky like a second sun, the shockwave flattening clouds and rattling the desert floor. Sand dunes for miles shifted from the pressure. Naruto emerged from the explosion's heart completely unscathed, rising on momentum alone, one fist extended, eyes locked on Deidara's hovering clay bird. The bomber's jaw hung loose. His one good eye was wide with a fear he'd never admit feeling. "That was C3, Deidara whispered. "My strongest, there's nothing bigger." "Then you're out of tricks." Naruto appeared in front of the bird. His speed had crossed the gap, 60 meters of empty air, in a heartbeat. His hand closed around Deidara's face, palm covering the bomber's entire head. "And I'm fresh out of patience." He ripped Deidara from the clay bird, spun once in midair, and hurled the Akatsuki bomber toward the desert floor with enough force to create a new crater. Deidara hit the sand like a meteorite, the impact kicking up a mushroom cloud of dust and debris, his body ragdolling at the center of a fresh depression 30 feet wide. Naruto descended, landing beside the crater's edge. He looked down at the broken, groaning figure of the bomber, alive, because Naruto chose to leave him alive, but finished as a combatant, both arms twisted at wrong angles, his clay pouches scattered and empty. "Stay down," Naruto said, "or next time I throw you into orbit." Below in the cave, Sasori faced the remaining Team Kakashi members, Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke. The puppet master unleashed his arsenal, the third Kazakaji puppet, its iron sand attacks filling the cave with magnetic death. Poison coated everything. 100 puppets deployed from scrolls hidden within his body. The fight was vicious, complex, technical. Sakura's monster strength shattering puppets, Kakashi's Sharingan tracking attack patterns, Sasuke's lightning-infused blade cutting through iron sand formations. Naruto arrived back inside the cave just as Sasori revealed his final form, the puppet master's own converted body, a living weapon with a core that housed his heart. Hundreds of puppet strings filled the air. The poison threat was omnipresent. "Allow me," Naruto said, walking past his teammates. He strode through the web of puppet strings. They pulled taut against his body, steel wire coated in toxin, meant to slice and poison simultaneously. The wires snapped against his skin one by one, twanging apart like guitar strings hitting granite. Sasori's puppet eyes widened. Impossible. Those wires cut through stone. "I'm going to give you one chance," Naruto interrupted, walking closer, wires snapping and falling around him in a curtain of broken metal. "Walk away. Tell me everything about Akatsuki, or I find that little heart container of yours and I squeeze it to dust." Sasori's response was to launch every remaining puppet in a simultaneous assault, 100 constructs converging from all angles, bladed arms and poisoned weapons driving inward. Naruto's Aether radiance activated. Light erupted from his body in a sphere of golden brilliance, warm, searing, impossibly concentrated. The wooden puppets ignited on contact. 100 constructs burst into flames simultaneously, their mechanisms failing, their forms crumbling. Reduced to ash and char in the span of a single breath, the light faded. Naruto stood alone in a ring of cinders. Sasori's true body, that converted puppet shell with its exposed heart container, hung in the air on its own backup string system, the only thing that survived by being furthest from the radiance. "Last chance," Naruto said. Sasori stared at the ashes of his life's work, 100 puppets, 20 years of collecting, gone in one flash of light from a teenager who shouldn't exist. The puppet master's face, what little of it could still express emotion through its wooden features, showed something approaching acceptance. "Orochimaru has a spy," Sasori said. "In 10 days, Tenchi Bridge, Kabuto Yakushi." Then the light in his puppet eyes faded, and the mechanism chose its own end, the heart container stopping by its owner's will. Sasori died on his own terms. Naruto turned from the fallen Akatsuki member and ran to Gaara's side. The Kazekage lay pale and cold, his breathing shallow, the extraction partially complete, enough Shukaku pulled free to leave him critically weakened. Sakura was already there, green healing chakra pouring from her palms. "He'll live," Sakura said, sweat beading on her forehead from the concentration required. The extraction was interrupted in time. Shukaku still partially connected. He'll recover, but it's going to be a long process. Naruto knelt beside Gaara. The sand wielder's eyes fluttered open, teal and exhausted, finding Naruto's blazing blue looking down at him. "You came," Gaara rasped. "Of course I came." Naruto's hand found Gaara's shoulder, gripping with warm reassurance. "You're my friend. People in your village are waiting for their Kazekage to come home. So get up, we're taking you back." Something like a smile crossed Gaara's pallid face. "You haven't changed. Got taller. Still an idiot. Still the idiot who saves your life." Naruto grinned, and in that grin was every promise he'd ever made, to protect, to stand between his people and the abyss, to refuse the world's cruelties with his own unbreakable body and will. Gaara returned to Suna on his own feet, supported by his siblings and his village's relief. The bond between the leaf and sand strengthened further, forged in fire, and the shared experience of almost losing everything. 3 months passed. Naruto trained. Missions came and went, none of them challenging enough to make his blood sing. He sparred with Sasuke daily, pushing the Uchiha further each time, watching his rival grow sharper and faster with each exchange. It was good, comfortable, almost peaceful. Then Itachi surfaced. The report came through intelligence channels. Uchiha Itachi sighted near the border of the Land of Fire, alone, apparently separated from his partner. The timing felt deliberate. The location felt chosen. Everything about it screamed trap. Sasuke wanted to go. Of course he did. The curse mark was sealed. His head was clearer, but the fundamental drive, the need to face his brother, to get answers, to close the wound that had bled since he was 7 years old, remained. Tsunade refused his request. Sasuke argued. Naruto stood between them. "I'll go with him," Naruto said. Tsunade's eyebrow rose. "You're volunteering to escort a flight risk into his trigger's proximity." "He's going whether we let him or otherwise." Naruto glanced at Sasuke. "At least this way, I'm there when it goes sideways, and nothing goes sideways enough to be a problem when I'm involved." Just Tsunade waited. The Hokage in her said this was a terrible idea. The woman who'd watched Naruto dismantle S-rank threats like cardboard cutouts said otherwise. "Fine, you're responsible for him. Both of you come back alive and loyal." "Always," Naruto said. They found Itachi at sunset, a clearing in the forest far from any village. The older Uchiha brother sat on a fallen log, still wearing the Akatsuki cloak, though it hung open as if he'd stopped caring about the uniform. His face was thinner than the last time they'd met, paler. His eyes, that terrifying manjikyo, remained deactivated. He looked tired in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion. Sasuke froze at the tree line. Every muscle locked. His Sharingan blazed to life involuntarily, 3 tomoe spinning, his body remembering years of hatred and a massacre that painted his nightmares crimson. "Itachi," Sasuke said, a single word carrying a lifetime of rage and grief. "Sasuke." Itachi's voice was soft, worn down by years and illness and a mission that had devoured his soul from the inside. "I've been waiting for you, but first," his eyes moved to Naruto, a flicker of recognition, a flicker of something that might have been relief. "You brought him. Good, why?" Naruto asked, stepping forward, his body positioned between the brothers on instinct. "Why sit here waiting? Why alone? Where's your shark?" "Kasame and I parted ways. Permanently." Itachi coughed. a wet sound containing blood. And I'm here because my time is ending. The disease I've kept at bay with medication has progressed beyond suppression. I have weeks, perhaps less. Sasuke's fists trembled at his sides. You're dying? Yes, and before I do, you deserve the truth. Itachi's eyes found his brother's. The Mangekyo activated, but not as a weapon, as proof, as the final testimony of a man with nothing left to hide. The massacre was ordered by Konoha's leadership, by Danzo Shimura and the village elders. The world stopped. Sasuke's breathing halted. His Sharingan spun faster, reading Itachi's body language, his micro-expressions, searching for the lie, finding only truth. Our clan planned a coup, Itachi continued. They were going to overthrow the Hokage, seize power. Civil war would have followed. Hundreds would have died. Thousands. Children from both sides. He paused. The weight of what came next pressed visibly on his shoulders. I was given a choice. Let the coup proceed and watch everything burn, or end it myself and save the village, and save you. Save me? Sasuke's voice cracked. I couldn't kill you. I was supposed to. The mission parameters included the entire clan, every member. But I looked at you, 7 years old, and I broke. Itachi's composure finally fractured. A tear ran down one cheek. Everything I've done since, the criminal persona, the Akatsuki infiltration, the hatred I built in your heart, all of it was meant to push you towards strength. I wanted you to kill me someday, to be the hero who avenged the clan, to find peace through my death. That's insane, Naruto said, his voice rough. That plan is completely insane. Yes! Itachi looked at the golden boy with something approaching gratitude. And you made it unnecessary. You brought him back before the poison I planted could complete its work. You showed him something besides vengeance. Another cough. More blood. Thank you. Sasuke's legs gave out. He hit the ground on both knees, staring at his brother through eyes that couldn't decide between rage and grief and love. All three warring beneath those spinning red wheels. You, all this time, I hated you for years, and it was my choice. Itachi stood slowly, painfully. He walked toward his kneeling brother. Everything you felt was valid. The hatred, the loneliness, the need for answers. I took everything from you to protect something larger. I have earned whatever judgment you bring. Sasuke looked up at his brother through streaming eyes. His hand moved, reaching for a weapon, reaching for a kunai, reaching for the vengeance he devoted his entire adolescence toward. His fingers found the handle and stopped. I won't kill you, Sasuke choked out. I refuse to let you use me as your mercy stroke. If you're dying, then you're going to spend what time you have left making this right. Come back to the village. Tell them everything. Let Tsunade treat whatever disease is eating you, and face the consequences like a man instead of hiding behind martyrdom. Itachi blinked. His composure, already cracked, broke entirely. Fresh tears fell. His shoulders shook. This was not the outcome he'd planned. This was not the death he'd choreographed. This was better. Naruto stepped forward, his presence anchoring the moment. He's right. You think dying alone in a forest fixes anything? All it does is leave Sasuke with more questions and more grief. Your village failed you, and you failed your brother, and everybody lost. But you're still breathing, so come home and fix what you can. The village will execute me. The village has a Hokage who owes me about 15 favors. Naruto's grin returned. Fierce, certain, bearing the weight of absolute confidence. Nobody's executing anybody while I'm standing here. Itachi stared at the two of them, his brother on his knees with tears and forgiveness warring on his face, and the golden boy whose indestructible body and equally unshakable will had already rewritten several destinies. The older Uchiha's resistance collapsed like a wall made of paper. All right, Itachi whispered. I'll come home. Naruto hauled Sasuke to his feet, clapped Itachi on the shoulder hard enough to make the sick man stumble, and started walking. Let's move. Granny's going to have a stroke when I bring a missing to her door and ask for amnesty. Best part of my week. The return to Konoha with Itachi was complicated, political, messy. Tsunade swore loudly enough to be heard 3 floors down when Naruto explained the situation. Anbu surrounded Itachi. Interrogation followed, TNI verifying every claim, cross-referencing with classified records that confirmed Danzo's involvement. The elder was arrested. The truth about the Uchiha massacre surfaced like a corpse from deep water. Ugly, disturbing, undeniable, Itachi received treatment for his illness. Tsunade's medical ninjutsu bought him time, months, maybe longer. He lived under house arrest, Sasuke visiting daily, the two brothers beginning the slow, painful work of rebuilding something from ashes. Naruto checked in weekly, usually bringing ramen and terrible jokes that made Itachi's left eye twitch. Peace never lasted in this world. Naruto knew that with the certainty of a soul that had lived and died before, the gods of his previous life hadn't known rest. Ragnarok always loomed, always coming, always hungry. This world had its own Ragnarok approaching. It came on a Tuesday morning. A massive shape appeared in the sky above Konoha, hovering, impossible, radiating a pressure that pressed down on the entire village like a giant's boot. 6 figures descended from the clouds, each one different, some massive, some pierced with metal rods, some carrying summoning contracts or mechanical augmentation. All of them shared the same eyes, concentric rings of gray and purple, the Rinnegan, the eyes of a god, Pain, the leader of Akatsuki himself. 6 bodies, 1 will, 1 terrible purpose, retrieve the 9 tails at any cost. Even if that cost was an entire village, the first gravitational pulse hit with 0 warning. The Shinra Tensei descended on Konoha's center like the wrath of heaven, a sphere of pure repulsive force expanding outward from Pain's main body. Buildings disintegrated, streets crumbled, people flew like leaves in a hurricane. The village that had stood for generations, its homes, its markets, its academy, its monuments, was scoured from existence in a single expanding wave of destruction. When the dust cleared, Konoha was a crater, a flat, barren expanse where a thriving village had existed seconds before. The outer walls held, barely, meaning the people who'd been evacuated to shelters survived. But the heart of the village was gone, erased, reduced to rubble and memory. Naruto felt it from the training grounds at the village edge, the shockwave, the screaming, the sudden absence of familiar chakra signatures winking out like extinguished candles. His tattoos erupted to full luminescence. Every rune on his body blazed gold and blue simultaneously. The air around him heated and frosted in equal measure. Fire and ice warring beneath his skin as Baldur's consciousness surged forward with battle hunger. He was already running toward the devastation when he felt her. Hinata's chakra, flickering, fading, accompanied by the overwhelming pressure of one of Pain's bodies bearing down on her location. Naruto changed direction. He crossed the village in under 2 seconds. He arrived to find Hinata standing despite everything, despite the apocalyptic devastation around her, despite the terrifying figure of Pain's Deva path hovering above the crater. She stood with her Byakugan blazing, her body in the gentle fist stance, bleeding from a gash on her forehead, trembling but refusing to run. Between her and Pain's raised hand, ready to deliver another Shinra Tensei, was nothing. "Why do you resist?" Pain asked, his Rinnegan eyes fixed on the tiny, trembling girl. "You cannot harm me. You cannot save yourself. This is meaningless struggle." "It's meaningful to me," Hinata said, her voice shaking but her stance holding. "Because Naruto-kun fights for this village. He never gives up. And I refuse to give up while he's out there fighting for all of us." Pain's hand began to glow with gravitational force. "Then die with that meaningless conviction." A blur of gold materialized between them. Naruto's back faced Hinata. His front faced Pain. His right hand caught Pain's wrist mid-attack, stopping the Shinra Tensei before it could fire. The gravitational buildup discharged harmlessly into Naruto's palm, repulsive force meeting invulnerable flesh, and simply failing. Pain's eyes widened. The Rinnegan, the eyes of the Sage of Six Paths himself, stared at the golden figure who just appeared from nothing and nullified his technique through pure physical impossibility. "You put your hands towards someone I care about," Naruto said, and his voice was different from everything that had come before. Lower, emptier. The playfulness was gone. The cocky taunts were gone. What remained was the voice of something ancient and terrible, a god whose loved ones had been threatened. "That is going to cost you everything." He crushed Pain's wrist. The mechanical construction crumpled like tin foil in his grip, metal rods and synthetic bone splintering. The Deva Path's mouth opened in what should have been a scream, but emerged as only a gurgling static. These were corpses animated by piercings, incapable of true pain but still subject to structural failure. Naruto yanked the broken body forward and headbutted it. The Deva Path's skull caved inward from the impact. The body flew backward 100 meters and crashed into a mound of rubble, twitching, disabled. 5 more paths appeared around the crater's edge. The animal path, summoning massive creatures, dogs that split when cut, birds that dove with explosive force. The Preta path, absorbing energy attacks, nullifying jutsu. The Asura path, mechanically augmented, missiles and laser beams erupting from its limbs. The human path, extracting souls with a touch. The Naraka path, repairing the others, resurrecting fallen bodies through its King of Hell summon, 6 against 1. 6 bodies controlled by one mind, wielding the Renegade's full array of gravitational manipulation, soul extraction, summoning, absorption, mechanization, and restoration. Naruto grinned. For the first time since arriving, that savage Aesir light returned to his eyes. 6 of you? Finally, someone who brought friends to the fight. He turned to Hinata. Her face was streaked with blood and tears, but her eyes shone with something bright and fierce as she looked at him. He reached out and wiped the blood from her forehead with his thumb, a gesture so tender it belonged in a different moment than this apocalyptic battlefield. "I'm gonna handle this," Naruto said, "and when it's over, you and I are having a conversation that's way overdue." Hinata's eyes widened. Her heart hammered. She nodded once, fiercely. Naruto turned back to the 6 paths of pain and began walking forward. His tattoos pulsed in a rhythm matching his heartbeat. Steady, powerful, ancient. The ground beneath each footstep cracked from the divine pressure he was releasing. The animal path struck first. A massive rhino summon charged, building-sized horn lowered, the ground shaking beneath its thunderous approach. Naruto met it with one hand extended, All-Father's palm. The directed force blast hit the rhino's face and halted its charge instantly, the creature's forward momentum reversing violently as its entire body flew backward faster than it had come forward. The summon crashed through a cliff face and dispelled in a cloud of smoke. The Asura path opened fire, missiles, energy blasts, and a concentrated laser beam from its head, all targeting Naruto simultaneously. The projectiles detonated against his body and achieved the same as everything else that had ever tried. Nothing. The laser burned against his chest, its concentrated energy sliding off his runic-covered skin like water off polished marble. Naruto appeared in front of the Asura path before its targeting systems registered movement. His fist drove through its chest cavity, emerging from the back covered in mechanical debris and shattered chakra receivers. He lifted the destroyed body overhead and threw it into the approaching human path, both bodies crashing together in a tangle of broken metal and dead flesh. The Preta path rushed in, this one designed to absorb energy, to nullify any chakra-based attack that touched it. Its hands reached for Naruto, attempting to drain him on contact. The moment its palms touched Naruto's skin, the Preta path overloaded. The energy coursing through Naruto's body wasn't chakra, it was divine power, older and more concentrated than anything the Renegade's absorption technique was designed to handle. The Preta path's body seized up like a circuit breaker hit with a lightning bolt. Its eyes went blank. Smoke poured from the chakra receivers, piercing its face. It collapsed to the ground, completely fried. 3 down, Naruto said, walking forward. His pace never changed. His breathing stayed even. To anyone watching, and many were, the surviving Konoha ninja observing from the crater's edges, it looked like watching the sun cross the sky. Inevitable, unhurried, unstoppable. The Deva path had recovered, its crushed skull reformed by the Naraka path's King of Hell restoration. It rose from the rubble, Rinnegan blazing, both hands extended. Shinra Tensei! Maximum output, every ounce of gravitational repulsion the Rinnegan could generate, focused into a single directed blast aimed at Naruto. The pressure wave hit him full force, enough to level an entire village, as already demonstrated. Naruto's hair blew backward. His jacket fluttered. His feet slid back approximately 6 inches. He stopped himself, planted his stance, and walked forward through the Shinra Tensei, each step requiring the effort of moving against a hurricane, each step taken with the same smooth inevitability he'd shown since the fight began. The gravitational force screamed against his advancing body. The ground beneath him cratered from the redirected pressure, but the god walked through it like wading through a strong current. "You think gravity applies to me?" Naruto asked as he emerged from the Shinra Tensei's field, Now face to face with the Deva path, his tattoos blazed golden, a new pattern never seen before, igniting across his forehead and down his temples. I've walked between worlds, crossed the space between stars, been reborn across realities, and you think pushing me back a few inches with your knockoff godhood means anything? He grabbed the Deva path by both sides of its head, his grip locked down with inescapable force. The body thrashed, and then Naruto released the new technique that had been building since his tattoos ignited. Azir Sunburst. Light erupted from his palms directly into the Deva path's skull. Pure, concentrated, divine radiance, the essence of Baldur's domain channeled into a weapon for the first time. The light flooded through the body, burning out every chakra receiver, severing every connection to the controlling intelligence, reducing the most powerful of Pain's 6 bodies to an empty shell in a single overwhelming instant. He dropped the husk. It crumbled to dust before it hit the ground. The animal path tried to flee. It made it 8 steps before Naruto appeared in its path, golden afterimage trailing behind him. One punch to the torso folded the body in half and sent it tumbling end over end until it struck a building foundation and stopped moving. The Naraka path attempted its final trick, summoning the King of Hell to restore the fallen bodies. The massive spectral head rose from the ground, mouth opening, purple flames licking at its lips. Naruto punched the King of Hell in the face. The spectral entity, a summon from the boundary between life and death, something that shouldn't have had a physical form to strike, reeled backward from the blow. Its jaw cracked. Spiritual energy leaked from the wound like blood from split flesh. Naruto hit it again and again. 3 punches that shook the fabric of reality itself, each one driving the spectral summon further back, each one shattering more of its form until the King of Hell simply ceased. Dispelled by force, beaten into oblivion by a power that transcended the boundaries it operated within, the Naraka path collapsed, its anchor gone. Silence fell across the crater that used to be Konoha. 6 paths, 6 bodies wielding the Renegade's full legendary arsenal, all of them dismantled in under 90 seconds by a single golden figure standing amid the devastation without a scratch on his body. But Naruto wasn't done. He could feel it, the controlling presence, the real pain, hiding somewhere beyond the village. A broadcast signal feeding instructions to the bodies through the chakra receivers. His Sage Mode sensory abilities, perfected during training with Jiraiya, triangulated the source instantly. "Found you," Naruto murmured. He launched himself from the crater, crossing miles of forest in a single leap, following the signal to its origin, a massive paper tree on a distant mountainside, concealing a hidden chamber where the true body resided. He landed on the mountainside hard enough to crack it. The paper tree rustled, then parted, revealing the entrance to a chamber within. And inside, suspended in a mechanical walking device, his body emaciated, his legs withered, his renegade eyes staring with exhausted determination from a face that had known only suffering, sat Nagato. Conan stood beside him. Blue-haired, paper angel, ready to die, defending her friend. She raised a hand, paper beginning to separate from her body into razor-sharp sheets. "Stop!" Naruto held up his palm. His voice carried authority that froze both of them in place. The command of someone who could destroy this entire mountain with a thought, but chose words first. "I'm here to talk. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be dust." "You've destroyed my paths," Nagato rasped. His voice was broken, ragged, "but you haven't won. The cycle of hatred continues, pain continues. This world knows only save it." Naruto stepped closer, his tattoos dimming to a softer glow. "I just walked through everything you had. Every body, every technique, every last resort trick in your arsenal. None of it touched me. You threw an entire village-destroying attack at my chest, and I walked through it like a breeze." His eyes softened, the god receding, the boy emerging. "So understand this. I'm choosing to stand here and listen. I could end you. Instead, I'm asking why." Nagato stared. The renegade searched Naruto's face, reading his chakra, his intent, his fundamental nature, finding zero hostility, finding only an overwhelming, incomprehensible warmth. "Jiraiya-sensei believed in you," Naruto continued. "He trained you. He thought you were the child of prophecy. And look what you became, a weapon of misery, spreading exactly the pain you claim to hate." He crouched, bringing himself to Nagato's eye level. "You went through hell. I get that. Everyone I love went through hell too. But the answer was never to burn the world. The answer is to protect what's left of it until something better grows. And if it never does, Nagato whispered, then you protect it anyway. Naruto's voice held the weight of a soul that had lived this truth across multiple lifetimes. Because hope isn't something you find at the end. It's something you carry the whole way. The silence stretched between them like a bridge being built from both sides. Conan watched, tears forming. Nagato's wasted body trembled, with fatigue, with emotion, with the slow collapse of an ideology meeting someone who embodied its opposite. Jiraiya believed in me, Nagato said finally, but I failed him. Then stop failing him. Naruto stood. Fix what you can. You destroyed my village, killed my people. You've got the Rinnegan. I know it has a technique that can undo death. Use it. The Rinne Tensei will kill me. Then die doing the one good thing you've done in 20 years. Naruto's words were harsh. They were also true. Or live with being a monster. Your choice. Nagato closed his eyes, breathed, opened them, and somewhere behind those concentric ringed pupils, a decision crystallized, born from the echo of a teacher's faith and the undeniable presence of a boy who'd proven every assumption wrong. Conan, Nagato said, I'm going to perform the Rinne Tensei. Everyone I've killed today, I'm bringing them back. Conan's hand found his shoulder. She wept, but she didn't argue. The technique activated. Nagato's life force channeled through the Rinnegan, reaching into the afterlife, pulling souls back into restored bodies. Across the ruins of Konoha, the dead stirred. Breaths returned, hearts restarted, eyes opened to the sky above their destroyed village. Hundreds of lives restored. Kakashi, Shizune, civilians, Jinin, everyone pain had taken. Nagato's body sagged. The light left his eyes. A final smile, tired, peaceful, the first genuine expression of serenity the man had worn in decades, crossed his face before he slumped in his device. Gone, but redeemed. Naruto stood in the chamber, surrounded by Conan's quiet grief, and felt the weight of what had just happened. Another death he couldn't prevent. Another person he'd reached too late to save, but soon enough to redirect. The world kept demanding sacrifices he'd rather shoulder himself. He walked back to Konoha through the forest, moving at human speed for once, letting himself feel the aftermath instead of rushing past it. The village was still a crater. Nagato's technique revived the dead but couldn't rebuild buildings. The survivors gathered in the wreckage, confusion and joy mixing as people found loved ones they thought lost. He found Hinata at the crater's edge, standing exactly where he'd left her, Byakugan still active, scanning the area for threats that were no longer coming. The moment she saw him emerge from the tree line, her body went rigid, then released, a full-body exhale of relief that nearly buckled her knees. Naruto walked to her, stood in front of her, close, closer than he'd ever stood to her before, close enough to see the individual veins of her Byakugan deactivate, close enough to watch her pupils dilate as lavender eyes met burning blue. You stood in front of pain for me, Naruto said. You could have died. You knew you couldn't win, and you stood there anyway. I told you, Hinata whispered, her hands trembling at her sides. I refuse to give up while you're fighting. Why? He already knew the answer. He'd known for a while, maybe always, but he needed to hear it, needed this moment to be real and spoken and undeniable. Because I love you. The words came out without a stammer, clear as morning, strong as the woman who'd faced a god's avatar without flinching. I've loved you since we were children. Every letter you sent during training, every time you smiled at me, every time you stood up for someone weaker, I fell further, and I'll keep falling. That's the truth I was willing to die for. Naruto's chest ached, the one sensation his invulnerable body could never block. Emotion, pure and devastating, more powerful than any physical force the world had ever thrown at him. He reached out and took her hand, pulled her close, pressed his forehead against hers, runic tattoos dimming to the softest golden glow, his eyes closing. I'm sorry it took me this long to see it, he murmured against the space between their faces. I've been chasing acknowledgement my whole life, and the best kind was standing right in front of me. He kissed her, softly, carefully, the god of light and the girl who'd loved him since childhood, standing in the ashes of their destroyed village, surrounded by the relieved cries of the resurrected, sharing a first kiss that tasted like dust and tears and the beginning of something that would outlast them both. When they broke apart, Hinata's face was incandescent, redder than he'd ever seen it, but her eyes were shining with a joy so complete it practically generated its own light. "I'm keeping you," Naruto said, his grin returning, warm, human, devoid of the god's arrogance. "If that's okay." "More than okay," Hinata managed. "From the seal," Kurama snorted. "Took you long enough, kid. I've been watching this disaster unfold for years." Naruto ignored the fox. He'd gotten good at that. Konoha began rebuilding immediately. The will of fire was real, not just a philosophy, but a living force that drove people to pick up hammers and nails even while the dust still settled. Naruto threw himself into the reconstruction with the same ferocity he brought to combat, his impossible strength making him worth 100 construction workers. He carried steel beams single-handed. He cleared rubble in minutes that would have taken crews days. He became a fixture at the building sites, working sunrise to sunset, refusing to let his village stay broken. Word spread. It always did. The 5 Kai summit convened in the Land of Iron. All 5 village leaders gathering in a neutral fortress to discuss the growing Akatsuki threat and the looming war they all felt pressing against the horizon. Gaara sat as Kazekage, Tsunade as Hokage, the Raikage, massive lightning-cloaked, furious about his brother's capture, Onoki, the Tsuchikage, tiny, ancient, skeptical of everything, Mei Terumi, the Mizukage, beautiful, powerful, tired of war. Naruto wasn't invited. He showed up anyway. The guards tried to stop him at the summit hall doors. He walked through them. Their weapons hit his body and accomplished what weapons always accomplished against him: nothing. He strode into the Kage chamber with his hands in his pockets, Konoha headband gleaming on his forehead, runic tattoos visible through the collar of his new jacket. "Who allowed this child entrance?" A demanded, slamming his fist on the table hard enough to crack it. "Nobody allowed me anything." Naruto stood at the center of the chamber, 5 of the most powerful ninja in the world staring at him from their elevated seats. He looked up at them without an ounce of deference in his posture. "I'm here because I'm the guy who just beat Pain, single-handedly, without a scratch, and you're sitting here arguing about threats while I'm the answer to every single one of them." "The arrogance," Onoki started. "It's confidence," Naruto interrupted. "And it's earned. Raikage-sama, your brother's being targeted by the same people who leveled my village last week. I beat their leader and his 6 bodies in 90 seconds. Whatever's coming, this war everyone feels approaching, you need me at the front. I'm volunteering." Gaara spoke. "Naruto is the strongest individual combatant I've ever encountered. He saved me. He saved his village. His claims are factual." "The boy destroyed Pain's 6 bodies as reported," Tsunade confirmed. "Every intelligence report supports his capabilities." Stared at Naruto with the intensity of a thunderstorm, evaluating an earthquake. His lightning-enhanced senses read the boy's presence, that massive, overwhelming weight of power that pressed against normal perception like standing too close to the sun. "You want to fight on the front lines of a world war," said, his voice a deep rumble. "As a genin." "Rank's just a label," Naruto shrugged. "Results matter, and my results speak for themselves." The summit debated. Naruto stood at the center of it like an anchor, answering questions with blunt honesty, backing every claim with the simple truth that nothing in this world had ever managed to harm him. The Kages pushed, prodded, tested his resolve, and found it as unbreakable as his body. By the summit's end, the decision was made. The 4th Shinobi World War was declared against Akatsuki, against Obito Uchiha, who'd revealed himself as the true mastermind against the growing threat of the Ten Tails resurrection. The allied shinobi forces would unite all 5 nations under one banner, and Naruto Uzumaki would stand at their vanguard. The war began on a morning that tasted like copper and ash. 80,000 allied shinobi deployed across multiple fronts. Against them, 100,000 white Zetsu clones, plant-based mimics with the ability to copy appearances and infiltrate. And worse, an army of Edo Tensei reanimations, legendary shinobi pulled from death itself, their bodies immortal, their techniques intact, forced to fight by the summoning's compulsion. Naruto took the front line of the 1st Division. His presence alone shifted the morale of every soldier within sight. golden hair blazing, tattoos pulsing with barely contained power, standing at the formation's tip with a grin that promised the enemy nothing but ruin. The first wave hit. 10,000 white Zetsu clones charged across an open field, a white tide of identical bodies carrying whatever weapons they'd stolen or grown from their own biomass. Naruto raised one hand, palm open. Golden runes ignited along his arm in sequence, each one adding power to the technique building at his fingertips. Asgard radiance, maximum output. A wall of light erupted from his palm, broader and taller than a stadium, sweeping across the battlefield in a golden wave. Every white Zetsu it touched simply burned. Their plant-based bodies, held together by stolen DNA and artificial life force, couldn't withstand the divine purification. Row after row, rank after rank, thousands of clones disintegrating in the advancing light front. The golden wave crossed the entire field in 4 seconds, leaving clean ground behind it where 10,000 enemies had stood moments before. The Allied soldiers stared. Then they roared. A collective war cry of disbelief and savage triumph, their formation charging forward with renewed ferocity over ground their vanguard had just cleansed. Naruto kept pushing. He became a spearhead, a one-man breakthrough force that carved through the enemy's eastern front like a blade through paper. Every concentration of Zetsu clones melted before his azure radiance. Every pocket of resistance crumbled when he arrived, his fists and speed turning fortified positions into rubble in seconds. The Edo Tensei reanimations were harder. They couldn't die permanently. Their bodies regenerated regardless of damage, pulling themselves back together from even total destruction. But Naruto found the solution quickly. The sealing teams that followed in his wake applied binding seals to the incapacitated bodies while their regeneration cycled. Naruto would destroy them, the teams would seal them, and the advance continued. One reanimation proved stronger than the rest. The second Mizukage, a massive man wielding a giant clam genjutsu and an infinite explosion technique, materialized before Naruto on the 4th day of fighting. His power was enormous. His techniques were complex. His clam produced a mirage that confused even the Byakugan. Naruto punched through the genjutsu. His Sage Mode perception identified the real body through nature energy sensing, something genjutsu couldn't affect. His fist connected with the Mizukage's jaw, sending the reanimated Kage flying across the battlefield hard enough to create a trench. The second Mizukage pulled himself back together, laughing. Finally, someone interesting. Hit me again, boy. I haven't had a real fight since I died. Gladly. Naruto grinned, that sharp, hungry expression that emerged whenever something actually entertained him. They clashed 3 more times. Each exchange ended the same way, Naruto destroying the Mizukage's body, the body regenerating, Naruto destroying it again. On the 4th iteration, the sealing team caught up and bound the reanimation permanently. The second Mizukage's face, half regenerated, half sealed, smiled at Naruto one last time. You're the real deal, kid. Win this war. I'm rooting for you from the afterlife. Count on it. Naruto threw a salute and pushed forward. Word of his performance spread through the alliance like wildfire. Soldiers who'd never met him told stories. Units that heard he was approaching their front let out cheers. He became the symbol the war effort needed, living proof that their side had something the enemy couldn't match, couldn't counter, couldn't overcome. On the 6th day, everything changed. The sky tore open. A column of chakra, red, violent, world-shaking, erupted from the center of the battlefield where Obito Uchiha had been working in secret. The 10 Tails stirred. Its massive form rose from the earth like a nightmare climbing free of its grave. 10 Tails thrashing, a single eye opening at the center of its head, a presence so overwhelming that shinobi miles away felt their knees buckle. The Jubi, the original tailed beast, the source from which all Biju had been divided, a creature of pure, undifferentiated power that predated human civilization. Its roar shattered clouds. Its chakra alone killed hundreds of Zetsu and allied soldiers equally, an indiscriminate wave of force that didn't distinguish between friend and foe. And standing atop its head, Kamui eyes spinning, mask removed to reveal his scarred face, Obito Uchiha directed the beast with a single raised hand and the absolute certainty of a man who'd given up on reality itself. This world is meaningless, Obito's voice carried across the battlefield, amplified by the 10 Tails' own chakra. Pain, loss, death. All of it repeats forever. The only solution is to end it, to trap everyone in a dream where suffering can't reach them. The infinite Tsukuyomi. Naruto stared up at the 10 tails, at Obito, at the apocalypse taking shape above his head. And for the first time since the war began, his grin wasn't immediate. He felt the weight of this moment, the scale of what he faced, the lives counting on him, the entire world balanced on what happened next. Then Baldur stirred. The god's presence rose from the depths of Naruto's soul like a sun rising, like a furnace roaring to life, like the memory of every battle fought across an eternal existence. "This is it," Naruto murmured. His tattoos blazed, every rune, every pattern, every inch of divine script covering his body, igniting simultaneously in a cascade of gold and blue that made him look like a walking constellation. The big one. The fight I was reborn for. Sasuke appeared beside him, Sharingan active, Susanoo ribs manifesting around his body, lightning crackling across his blade. He'd been fighting on the Western Front, a devastating combatant in his own right, but the 10 Tails' emergence drew every heavy hitter to the center. "Together?" Sasuke asked. "Together." Naruto extended his fist. Sasuke met it with his own. The crack of their knuckles connecting rang across the battlefield. Two rivals, two brothers in everything but blood, united against the end of the world. They launched simultaneously. Sasuke's Susanoo wings carried him upward. A violet spectral warrior manifesting fully around his body, armored and armed with a bow that fired arrows of black flame. He opened on the 10 Tails' body, Amaterasu arrows striking its flank and burning with inextinguishable fire that ate at the beast's regeneration. Naruto went straight for Obito. He crossed the distance between ground and the 10 Tails' head in a single leap, traveling 300 meters vertically in the span of a breath. His body a golden streak against the gray sky. He landed on the 10 Tails' head 10 feet from Obito, his impact cracking the beast's carapace. "This ends here, Obito," Naruto said, his voice carried over the 10 Tails' thrashing. "Your infinite dream, your fake peace, none of it happens." Obito turned to face him. The Mangekyo Sharingan spun, and his body shifted, phased, became intangible. Naruto's first punch passed through him like striking smoke. "You're strong," Obito acknowledged. "The strongest physical force I've ever encountered. But strength means nothing against a body that doesn't exist in this dimension." His own fist solidified just long enough to strike, phasing through Naruto's guard, hitting his cheek, and bouncing off. The look on Obito's face as his knuckles cracked against invulnerable flesh was almost comical. He'd phased his fist back into reality specifically to strike, and the attack rebounded like hitting a wall of living stone. "Right back at you," Naruto said, his grin returning. "You can go intangible all you want. I'll wait. I've got literally nothing better to do, and you can't hurt me whether you're solid or ghost. So we can dance all day, or you can accept that your plan dies here." Obito's Kamui eyes spun faster. He tried a different approach, opening a portal directly beneath Naruto's feet, attempting to suck the golden boy into the Kamui dimension. The spatial vortex formed, pulling at everything in range. Naruto's feet stayed planted. His divine body anchored itself against the spatial manipulation through sheer force of existence. His presence too fundamentally real to be displaced by dimensional tricks. The Kamui portal strained around him, trying to consume something that refused to be consumed, until the technique overloaded and collapsed. "Are you serious?" Naruto laughed, wild, booming. "You tried to suck a god into a pocket dimension? Do you know how many realms I've existed across? How many spaces between worlds I've traveled through?" He stepped forward, each footfall sending cracks through the 10 Tails' head surface. "Your eye bends space. I break it." Obito phased again. Naruto struck the moment he solidified. A timing window of less than a millisecond that his sage-enhanced reflexes identified and exploited. His fist connected with Obito's ribs during the fraction of a second the man was tangible, and the impact sent the masked Uchiha flying off the 10 Tails' head entirely. Obito recovered midair, Kamui phase saving him from the fall, but the damage was done. Several ribs cracked, blood in his mouth. The realization dawning that his invulnerability to physical attacks was less absolute than he'd believed. "How?" Obito demanded, hovering via Kamui. "You shouldn't be able to time that window." "Sage mode," Naruto said simply. I can feel the fabric of reality shift when you phase in and out. Every time you go solid, I know. Every time you come back, I'm already swinging. He cracked his knuckles. So here's your choice. Stay ghost forever and accomplish nothing, or come back solid and eat my fist. Either way, you lose. Below them, Sasuke was doing damage. His perfect Susanoo, fully manifested, four-armed, wielding swords of black flame, grappled with the Ten Tails' thrashing tails. He cut two off. They regenerated. He cut them again. Kakashi and Guy joined the fight at ground level, their combined might supplementing what the allied forces brought to bear. But the Ten Tails was a force of nature. It thrashed. It fired Biju bombs, concentrated spheres of destruction that leveled mountain ranges where they landed. The allied forces scattered, reformed, attacked from new angles. Casualties mounted. Naruto felt every death. His Sage mode sensed each life force extinguishing across the battlefield, a constant drain of warmth from the world around him. Each one hardened his resolve. Each one pushed the god further toward the surface. He stopped playing with Obito. Enough games. Naruto's voice dropped to its lowest register. The golden tattoos on his body shifted, reorganizing themselves, new patterns emerging that had never appeared before. Ancient script from beyond this world, rune sequences that Baldur had carried across lifetimes, configurations that unlocked tiers of power he'd never needed until this moment. His body began to glow. Brighter and brighter, golden light pouring from every line of script on his skin until he blazed like a star made flesh. The light was warm, healing allied soldiers it touched, burning Zetsu clones in its radius, pushing back the Ten Tails' oppressive chakra through sheer luminescent force. God form, the light that was. The transformation completed. Naruto stood wreathed in golden radiance, taller, his features sharper, his eyes pure white gold with no pupil, his hair floating upward in a corona of divine energy. The runic tattoos were visible as glowing golden lines across every surface of his body, each one a complete technique ready to fire at will. He looked like what he was, a god wearing mortal shape as a matter of preference rather than limitation. Obito felt true fear for the first time since the night he lost Rin. The presence emanating from Naruto in this form was beyond. Beyond Kage, beyond Biju, beyond anything the Sage of Six Paths had left behind in this world. This was power from outside the system entirely, a visitor from a different mythology, a different cosmology, operating on rules this world never wrote. Final warning, Naruto said, and his voice resonated at frequencies that made reality tremble. Surrender or be ended. I will not ask a third time. Obito chose defiance. Of course he did. His pain was too old, too entrenched. He dove back toward the Ten Tails, Kamui phasing active, intent on accelerating his plan, absorbing the beast, becoming its Jinchuriki, gaining enough power to... Naruto appeared in front of him. Within the Kamui phase, in the space between dimensions where Obito's intangibility operated, Naruto's god form had followed him. The golden god stood inside the dimensional gap, a space that should have been accessible only to the Kamui's wielder, grinning. How? Obito's eye went wide. You can't be here. This space is. I told you. Naruto's fist drew back. I break space. All Father's palm. The directed force blast connected with Obito inside the dimensional gap, hitting him where he was supposed to be safe. Striking him in the one place he'd considered his absolute sanctuary, Obito rocketed out of the Kamui dimension, ejected back into reality by the force of the blow, his body fully solid, his phasing disrupted. He crashed into the battlefield below, cratering the earth, his Kamui eye bleeding, the technique's mechanism damaged by having an outside force invade its internal space. Naruto descended from the sky like a judgment. He landed beside Obito's crumpled form, the golden radiance of his god form illuminating the battlefield for 100 meters in every direction. Soldiers stopped fighting to stare. Both sides. The war itself seemed to pause in acknowledgement of what they were witnessing. It's over, Obito. Naruto reached down and pulled the chakra receivers from Obito's body, the metal rods connecting him to the Ten Tails, one by one. Each removal weakened the man's control over the beast. Each one severed a link in the chain holding Apocalypse in check. Without me controlling it, Obito coughed blood. The Ten Tails will rampage freely. You're setting it loose? Naruto straightened, the last receiver in his hand. I'm freeing it from you so I can beat it into submission myself. The Ten Tails screamed. Without Obito's controlling will, the beast's animal intelligence surged to dominance. It thrashed wildly, tails destroying terrain in every direction, Bijou bombs firing randomly, its massive body lurching across the battlefield toward the highest concentration of life force it could sense. Naruto rose to meet it. He ascended from the ground like a golden meteor traveling in reverse, straight up, then arcing toward the Ten Tails' single open eye. His god form blazed at maximum intensity, light pouring from him in rays that cut through the dust and smoke of the battlefield below. "Hey!" Naruto's voice boomed across the entire theater of war. Amplified by divine power, heard by every soldier on every front. "Everybody get clear, I'm ending this!" He hit the Ten Tails like a comet hitting a planet. His entire body, indestructible, burning with concentrated godlight, carrying the momentum of a being that had toppled mountains and wrestled world serpents in past lives, drove straight into the beast's skull between its eyes. The impact was visible from space. A flash of golden light expanded from the contact point, briefly turning the entire battlefield daylight bright, regardless of the clouds above. The shockwave that followed knocked everyone within 5 miles off their feet, friend and enemy alike going down in a ring of flattened bodies and broken formations. But the Ten Tails was a primordial thing, ancient beyond chakra, beyond jutsu, beyond the mathematics of destruction that govern normal combat. It absorbed the hit, its regeneration engaged, and it fought back. A tail the size of a river crashing down toward where Naruto hovered, carrying enough force to reshape continents. Naruto caught the tail. His god form radiance flared as divine strength met primordial mass. The tail drove him downward, feet carving through air, then through earth, his body being pushed into the ground by the sheer weight despite his invulnerability keeping him unharmed. He hit bedrock, stopped, planted, and pushed back, the Ten Tails' tail reversed direction. Naruto forced it upward, muscles, or whatever divine equivalent operated beneath his golden skin, straining with the effort of moving something that weighed more than a mountain range. His teeth bared in a savage grin. This was it, the fight that satisfied, the opponent that required everything. "Is that all?" Naruto roared at the Ten Tails, hurling its own tail back at its body with enough force to stagger the beast sideways. "Give me more! I've been waiting lifetimes for a fight worth having." He launched himself at the beast again, and again, and again. Each collision, a flash of gold against the Ten Tails' gray-purple mass. Each exchange, craters in the beast's body that regenerated, but slower each time as Naruto's Azure radiance burned at its fundamental life force with purifying light. He was wearing it down, eroding an immortal creature through sheer divine persistence. Sasuke joined him. The Uchiha's perfect Susanoo charged at the beast's flank, its black flame blades cutting deep channels that regenerated slowly due to Amaterasu's persistence. Kakashi contributed Kamui strikes, removing sections of the beast's mass entirely, depositing chunks of Ten Tails' flesh into the Kamui dimension. But it was Naruto who carried the fight. Every major blow came from him. Every moment the Ten Tails staggered, it was because a golden fist had connected with something vital. Every time the beast tried to fire a Bijou bomb, Naruto appeared in its path and took the blast to his chest, absorbing the explosion, letting it wash over his god form like a child's thrown tantrum. "Kurama," Naruto called inward. "You ready?" Inside the seal, the nine-tailed fox grinned, all teeth, predatory excitement blazing in his red eyes. They'd discussed this, planned for it, during the training trip, during long nights of reluctant cooperation that had evolved into genuine partnership. "Born ready, brat," Kurama growled. "Let's tame this thing." Naruto's golden light expanded and merged with Kurama's red chakra. For the first time, both powers activated simultaneously, the Azure god form and the nine tails of chakra cloak combining into something unprecedented. A figure of golden radiance wrapped in 9 spectral tails, burning with combined divine and Bijou power, radiating such overwhelming presence that the Ten Tails actually recoiled. "Dual form, Golden 9, Naruto announced, his voice dual-toned, his own layered with Kurama's deeper rumble. "Now we're talking." He slammed both hands together. Golden red energy concentrated between his palms. A Bijou bomb enhanced by Acer radiance, growing larger, denser, brighter, until it outshone everything else on the battlefield. "Acer Bijou bomb." He fired it at point-blank range into the Ten Tails' chest. The detonation was apocalyptic. The explosion expanded for miles in every direction, a sphere of golden-red annihilation that consumed everything within its radius. The Allied forces had retreated far enough, guided by Shikamaru's coordination. The Ten Tails took the full force. Its massive body engulfed, its regeneration overwhelmed fast, its structural integrity collapsing under the combined assault of divine purification and concentrated Biju destruction. When the light faded, the Ten Tails was still there, but diminished, smaller, its 10 tails reduced to stubs, its single eye dim and unfocused, its massive body riddled with golden cracks that spread like fractures in glass. Acer light bleeding from each one, Naruto appeared before the weakened beast. His dual form blazed, golden divine light dancing with Kurama's red chakra in a display that painted the sky in impossible colors. He placed both hands against the Ten Tails' head, palms flat against its cracked surface, and pushed every ounce of sealing knowledge Jiraiya had taught him. Every technique Kushina's Uzumaki heritage had encoded in his blood. Every iota of divine will that the god of light could bring to bear against a primordial creature. He channeled it all through his palms and into the beast. "You're going back to sleep," Naruto growled through gritted teeth. The Ten Tails thrashed weakly, fighting the seal, resisting the containment. But it was too damaged, too weakened, too overwhelmed by the combined force being exerted against it. Golden chains erupted from Naruto's body, adamantine sealing chains, his mother's technique manifested through Uzumaki blood, each link burning with added Acer power. The chains wrapped the Ten Tails, bound it, compressed it, forced its massive form smaller, condensing the beast's power back into a containable state. The sealing matrix spread across the creature's body, Naruto's own design, combining Uzumaki Fuinjutsu with Acer runecraft in a pattern that had never existed before. The Ten Tails shrank, compressed, reduced from world-ending colossus to contained energy to sealed power to gone. Stored within a seal inscribed on the ground itself, its power locked away where it could harm nobody, Naruto released his dual form, then his god form. Returning to normal, golden-haired, blue-eyed, runic-tattooed, sweat-drenched, grinning so wide it hurt. He staggered slightly, caught himself, and raised one fist toward the watching army of allied shinobi. The roar that followed shook the earth. 80,000 warriors screaming triumph, weapons raised, fists pumping, tears streaming down faces that had expected to die today. The sound of a world learning it would survive, but peace lasted exactly 37 minutes, because the Ten Tails' ceiling had triggered something. A failsafe buried in the beast's power structure, implanted eons ago by its original wielder. A summoning protocol that reached across dimensions, through time, into the forgotten spaces where the first goddess waited. The sky split. A crack appeared, white against blue, widening, revealing a space beyond the normal dimensions. And from that crack descended a figure that made the Ten Tails look like a footnote, Kaguya Otsutsuki, mother of chakra, the original wielder of the Jubi's power. A being who predated the Sage of Six Paths, predated the ninja world itself, predated every system of power that humanity had built in her absence. She materialized above the battlefield, white-robed, white-haired, the Rinna Sharingan open in her forehead, Byakugan eyes seeing everything in every direction simultaneously, her presence crushed. The surviving allied forces, still celebrating, hit the ground like invisible hands pressed them flat. Only the strongest remained standing. Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, Guy. Everyone else was pinned by chakra pressure alone. "My chakra," Kaguya spoke, and her voice echoed from everywhere at once. The sky, the earth, the air itself vibrating with her words. "You sealed my creation. I've come to reclaim what was always mine." Naruto stared up at the goddess. His body was depleted from the Ten Tails fight, his god form drained, his reserves lower than they'd been in years. Any normal person in his position would have felt despair, would have recognized this as a lost condition. Naruto started laughing. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me," he said, exhaustion mixing with absolute, irrepressible excitement. "I seal one god beast and a bigger god shows up? This world just keeps delivering." Kurama's voice inside the seal. "Kit, I need you to understand something. That woman up there is beyond anything we faced. She created chakra, created the tailed beasts, created this entire system of power. She's "She's my next fight," Naruto said. "And she bleeds, I can tell from here. Anything that bleeds, I can beat." Sasuke appeared at his side. Bleeding from earlier in the battle, his Susanoo flickering from chakra depletion, but present, ready. "You can't be serious. Dead serious." Naruto's tattoos began to brighten again, pulling from reserves he shouldn't have had, from the deep well of Acer power that didn't operate on chakra rules and therefore didn't deplete like normal energy. "You've got your eyes. I've got my everything else. Same as always." Kakashi limped forward on one leg, Sharingan blazing, his body battered from the war's toll. "I'm with you." Guy arrived in a burst of speed that belied his injuries, his jumpsuit torn, his body covered in bruises, but his smile as insanely bright as ever. "My eternal rival is going, so I am going. Youth demands it." Naruto looked at his teacher and his teacher's rival, then at Sasuke, then back at Kaguya hovering above them all. "All right, team, let's kill a goddess." Kaguya struck first. Her hand extended and reality shifted. The battlefield dissolved around them, replaced in an instant by a dimension of ice. A frozen wasteland stretching infinitely in every direction, the temperature dropping to levels that would kill a normal human in seconds. Guy collapsed immediately, even his legendary constitution overwhelmed by the absolute cold. Kakashi caught him, wrapping his own body around the older man for whatever minimal warmth he could provide. The two of them hit the ice together, shivering, unable to contribute. Sasuke's Susanoo flickered but held, the spectral armor providing insulation. He was cold, weakened, but functional. Naruto felt nothing. The ice dimension pressed against his skin and encountered the same invulnerability that everything else had always encountered. His body temperature remained constant. His bare arms steamed in the frozen air as his internal heat radiated outward. "Ice," Naruto said, his grin sharp. "You picked the wrong dimension for this, lady. I told your Ten Tails pet the same thing. Ice and I have a very old relationship, and ice loses." His Acer fire blazed. The air around him heated rapidly, steam erupting from his body, ice melting in a growing circle around his feet. The warmth spread, reaching Guy and Kakashi, giving them breathable air and survivable temperature in a protected radius. Kaguya appeared before him, floating, serene, her Byakugan reading his every molecule. Her hand moved in a gesture, and from her palm, a bone extended. White, sharp, radiating killing intent that transcended physical danger. All-killing ash bone, a projectile that destroyed at the molecular level, disintegrating anything it touched into nothing. The ultimate piercing weapon. The one thing that, theoretically, might penetrate anything. She fired it at Naruto's chest. Time slowed. Naruto watched the bone approach, white against the frozen landscape, spinning lazily, aimed at his sternum. His Sage Mode senses tracked it. His body braced. His tattoos flared in a defensive configuration he'd never tested. A pattern that Baldur's memories insisted existed. A rune set designed to refuse erasure at the fundamental level. The all-killing ash bone hit his chest. It didn't penetrate. The bone pressed against his runic-covered sternum, and the Acer script beneath his skin blazed white-hot. The defensive configuration activating, refusing the molecular disintegration, pushing back against the technique's concept with the counter-concept of absolute inviolability. The bone cracked, fractured, and crumbled to dust against his unmarked skin. Kaguya's expression, which had remained impassive through everything, finally showed something. Her Byakugan eyes widened, her serene mask cracked. She'd fired the all-killing ash bone, the technique that erased existence itself, and it had failed. "Impossible," she breathed. "Nothing resists that technique. It bypasses all physical defense." "I'm not a physical defense," Naruto said, stepping forward, golden light building around him as his god form threatened to re-engage despite his depleted state. "I'm a divine constant. My body doesn't run on your rules. Your chakra made this world and everything in it, but I'm from somewhere else. And where I come from, gods don't die from bones." He launched himself at her. The god form kicked in at half power, still enough to light up the frozen dimension, still enough to move faster than any mortal eye could track, still enough to make reality bend around his advancing fist. Kaguya shifted dimensions. The ice world dissolved, replaced by a dimension of lava. An ocean of molten rock stretching in every direction, the heat enough to vaporize steel. Naruto floated above the lava, unbothered. His Acer fire nature made this dimension a warm bath at best. Sasuke's Susanoo protected him above the surface, the spectral armor straining but holding. "Keep shifting," Naruto taunted, scanning for Kaguya's position. "Every dimension you throw at me is just a different backdrop for me to punch you in." She appeared behind him. Her palm struck his back. Gravity manipulation, the same repulsive force Pain had wielded but amplified 100-fold by the original source. Naruto flew forward, launched by the technique, his body rocketing toward the lava ocean below. He hit the molten rock and sank, submerged completely in liquid fire. For 5 seconds, he was gone. Beneath the surface, surrounded by enough heat to dissolve mountains, then he exploded upward. A golden geyser erupting from the lava ocean, Naruto at its center, completely unharmed, lava running off his body like water off a diving bird. He rose higher, until he was level with Kaguya's hovering form. "That's the best environment you have?" Naruto's grin was savage, burning with the same intensity as the ocean below. "You're going to have to try harder than geography to stop me, grandmother." "Then I will try harder." Kaguya's voice was calm again. Her hand formed a seal, and reality folded. Once, twice, 3 times. The lava dimension compressed, then expanded, then reorganized into something new, a dimension of pure gravity. A space where every molecule pressed downward with crushing force. A world where existing meant being flattened. The gravity hit. Naruto felt it, an incredible, unmatchable weight pressing against every surface of his body simultaneously. His bones didn't break, his organs didn't compress, but his movement slowed. The downward force was unimaginable. Enough to create black holes, enough to compress matter into new elements. His feet hit a surface that might have been ground, and his knees actually bent. For the first time in his life, something was making his body work to stay upright. Heh, Naruto grinned through the strain. "Now that's interesting!" His tattoos flared, every single one, a full-body ignition that consumed his remaining reserves. The god form engaged at maximum despite the cost. Golden light pushed outward against the gravity, creating a sphere of resistance around his body. He straightened, stood tall, the gravity pressed. He refused it. "I've bent knee to nothing across 2 lifetimes." Naruto roared, his voice carrying through the crushing space. "A gravity dimension won't be the first." He pushed off the ground and flew, straight up, against the impossible downward force. Each inch of height gained requiring willpower beyond mortal scope. Each meter a testament to a spirit that defined itself by refusal to submit. Kaguya watched him ascend toward her with something approaching disbelief. Her dimensions had contained everything, sealed everything, crushed everything that had ever entered them. And this golden child was flying through her gravity trap through sheer defiance. "What are you?" Kaguya demanded, the same question everyone asked, finally uttered by a being old enough to actually deserve an answer. "I'm Baldur," Naruto roared, clearing the last distance between them, his fists drawn back, golden light concentrated into a point brighter than any star. "God of light, son of Odin, reborn into a brat from a ninja village." His fists drove forward. Every ounce of Acer might, every whisper of divine heritage, every atom of Naruto Uzumaki's impossible will compressed into one final, absolute strike. "And I am the end of your story. Ragnarok fist!" The punch connected with Kaguya's face. The impact existed beyond physical measurement. Divine force meeting primordial deity, 2 mythologies colliding in a single exchange. The gravity dimension shattered from the shockwave alone, the space itself cracking, fragmenting, dissolving around them as the collision of 2 god-scale forces exceeded what any single reality could contain. Kaguya flew backward through 3 dimensions simultaneously, her body passing through folded spaces at impossible velocity, the Rinne Sharingan on her forehead cracking from the transferred force, her regeneration activating frantically to repair damage that her body had never experienced in millions of years of existence. They emerged back into the normal world, the battlefield, the allied forces still present, the sky still torn from her arrival. Kaguya crashed into the earth hard enough to create a canyon, a mile-long trench carved by her body's momentum, terrain reshaping in real time from the impact. Naruto descended after her, god form flickering at the edges, depleted, running on fumes, sustained entirely by willpower and the bone-deep refusal to fall before the job was finished. He landed at the canyon's edge and looked down at Kaguya's broken form. She was regenerating, Slower than before, the Ragnarok fist had damaged something fundamental, but still pulling herself back together. Her Byakugan eyes refocused, her hands pressed against the canyon floor. "Sasuke!" Naruto called. Now! The Uchiha appeared, having followed through the dimensional shifts using his own Rinnegan capabilities, battered but present. His left eye blazed with the power Hagoromo's spirit had granted him during the battle. A yin seal, the counterpart to the yang seal glowing in Naruto's palm. Together, they formed the sealing technique that had bound Kaguya the first time, eons ago. Sasuke's hand slammed against Kaguya's torso from the left. Naruto's palm pressed against her from the right. Both seals ignited, sun and moon, yin and yang, the combined power of the sage's inheritance channeled through two boys who'd started this journey as rivals and arrived at its end as brothers. 6 paths, planetary devastation! The seal activated. Matter converged from every direction, earth, stone, debris, the landscape itself pulling inward toward Kaguya's body. She fought it. Her remaining power pushed outward, her hands clawing at reality, her voice screaming denial that echoed across dimensions. But she was too damaged. The Ragnarok fist had broken her foundation. The Aether light still burned in her wounds, refusing to let them close. And the seal, powered by the sage's own legacy, overwhelmed what remained of her resistance. Stone encased her, layer by layer, a sphere forming, growing, rising from the ground and ascending toward the sky as matter compressed around the goddess's imprisoned body. It grew to the size of a building, then a mountain, then something larger still, a new celestial body being born from the sealing of an ancient god. Kaguya's scream cut off as the stone sealed her voice, her power cut off as the technique locked her away. And the sphere, massive, complete, absolute, rose into the sky and took its place among the stars. A new moon, a prison, eternal. Naruto collapsed, his god form guttered out, his tattoos dimmed to their faintest resting state. His knees hit the ground at the canyon's edge, his body finally acknowledging the impossibility of what he'd just sustained, depleted beyond anything he'd ever experienced. Alive, uninjured, invulnerability never wavered, but empty, running on the last dregs of consciousness. Sasuke caught him before he fell face first into the dirt. The Uchiha, himself barely standing, grabbed Naruto's shoulder and held him upright. "Idiot," Sasuke said. "You overdid it." "Won, though," Naruto mumbled, his grin still present despite closed eyes. "We won." "Yeah." Sasuke's grip tightened. Something raw and genuine moved across his usually stoic face. "We did." The war ended with that moment, with two boys holding each other upright at the edge of a canyon they'd carved into the world, a new moon rising above them bearing the sealed goddess, and 80,000 soldiers below beginning to realize they'd survived the end of the world. The aftermath was measured in weeks, recovery, rebuilding, counting the dead and honoring their sacrifice. The allied shinobi forces disbanded with handshakes and tears and promises to never let things deteriorate to war again. Obito Uchiha lived, broken, defeated, stripped of his eye's power. He cooperated with the Alliance's interrogation, providing information on every remaining Akatsuki operation. His punishment was debated for months. Naruto argued for imprisonment rather than execution, and his voice carried weight that moved mountains now. Sasuke returned to Konoha fully, pardoned for his earlier desertion based on his role in ending the war, based on Naruto's advocacy, based on the simple fact that he'd stood beside the world's savior at the final moment and helped seal a goddess. He took a place in the village's reconstruction effort, his fire jutsu useful for metalwork, and his Sharingan invaluable for architectural planning. "You're staying this time," Naruto said to him one evening, both of them sitting on the Hokage monument, watching the village rebuild below. "For real. For real." Sasuke's voice held a peace it had lacked since childhood. "I've got nowhere else to be. Good, because I need a sparring partner and everyone else breaks too easy." Sasuke actually laughed. A real laugh. Short, startled, rusty from Dasu's. "You never change." "Why would I?" Naruto leaned back on his palms, grinning at the sky. "I'm perfect." "You're insufferable." Same thing. Itachi survived. Tsunade's treatment, combined with resources freed up by the war's end, pushed his disease into remission. He lived under continued house arrest, his Mangekyo sealed by Anbu-grade restraints, but alive. Present. available for the slow rebuilding of a brotherhood that decades of manipulation had nearly destroyed. The two Uchiha brothers ate dinner together every evening. The conversations were awkward and stilted and precious beyond measure. Hinata found Naruto 3 weeks after the war ended. He was at Ichiraku's. Because where else would he be? Eating his 7th bowl, his appetite fully restored, his body humming with replenished Aesir energy. She slid onto the stool beside him, her posture carrying a confidence that the war had forged in her. 7 bowls? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Going for 12, Naruto said through a mouthful of noodles. He swallowed, grinned. You look good, better than good. The war changed you. It changed everyone. Hinata's hand found his under the counter, laced their fingers together. Naruto's chewing slowed. His eyes softened, that warm human depth beneath the god's fire. But some things stayed the same. Like you loving me? He squeezed her hand. Like me loving you. She squeezed back. And you being terrible at romance. I punched a goddess for this village. That's romantic. You punched a goddess because you love fighting. Both things can be true. She laughed, light and genuine, and utterly without the stammer that had characterized her youth. The war had burned the shyness away, leaving the steel that was always underneath. Naruto looked at her, really looked, and felt that warm ache in his chest that his invulnerability couldn't touch. Marry me, he said. Hinata blinked. Her chopsticks froze mid-motion. What? Marry me. He said it again with the same casual certainty he applied to everything, like it was obvious, inevitable, the most natural request in the world. I love you. You love me. We've been dancing around this since we were kids. I'm done dancing. I want you. Permanently. Forever. Or however long an immortal god and a badass Hyuga princess get. The ramen shop went silent. Tochi and Ayame behind the counter froze. 3 other customers froze. A passing Anbu froze on the rooftop above. Hinata's face went through 17 shades of red. Her eyes shimmered with something that might have been tears or might have been joy, so concentrated it overflowed from her body. Her hand in his tightened to a grip that would have broken a normal man's fingers. Yes, she said. Then louder. Yes, 1,000 times, since the day you stood up for me when we were 8. Yes. Naruto's grin split his face so wide it ached. He pulled her into a kiss right there at the ramen bar, lifting her off her stool, her arms wrapping around his neck, his around her waist, Tochi clapping and Ayame crying, and the Anbu above them reporting to Tsunade via hand sign that the village's golden boy had just proposed at the noodle stand. Tsunade's reaction, audible from the Hokage Tower 3 blocks away, was a bark of laughter followed by, "At Ichiraku's? The boy proposed at Ichiraku's?" The wedding happened 6 months later. Spring. Cherry blossoms. The entire village invited, because Naruto didn't know how to do anything small. Hinata in white, radiant, her Byakugan deactivated, because she wanted to see her husband through normal eyes on this day. Naruto in traditional robes that couldn't quite hide the golden runes pulsing beneath the fabric. Sasuke served as best man. His speech was 2 sentences long. He's an idiot, but he's the best idiot I've ever known. The crowd laughed. Naruto threw a chopstick at him. Kurama, watching through Naruto's eyes from the seal, said nothing. But if foxes could smile in ways that meant something tender, the Nine Tails wore that expression throughout the ceremony. 3 months after the wedding, Tsunade called him to her office. She looked tired. The war had aged her in ways her transformation jutsu couldn't hide. A weariness in her eyes, a slump in her shoulders that spoke of someone ready to put down a weight carried too long. Her desk was clean for the first time in Naruto's memory. The hat sat on its stand beside her. "I'm stepping down," Tsunade said. Naruto's heart stopped. Then surged. Then tried to leap from his chest entirely. "And I'm recommending you as my successor." She smiled, warm, proud, the expression of a woman watching a seed she'd planted grow into something magnificent. 6th Hokage, Naruto Uzumaki. I'm 17. You sealed a goddess 3 months ago. You won a world war. You beat pain. You've protected this village since you were 12 years old with a body made of starlight and a heart that never stopped caring. She stood, walked around the desk, and placed the hat on his head. "Age is just a number, brat. You've been ready for this since the day you beat me in that bar." The hat settled on his golden hair. The weight of it, physical and otherwise, pressed against his skull. Naruto stood in the Hokage's office, the village spread beyond the windows, his reflection staring back from the glass with the hat's kanji casting a shadow across his whiskered face. He thought of every rock thrown at him, every slammed door, every whispered monster and demon brat that had followed him through childhood. He thought of the old man, Hiruzen, who died believing in him. He thought of Iruka, who'd been the first to see him as human. He thought of Jiraiya, who taught him to be more than his power. He thought of every person he'd fought, every person he'd saved, every person he'd loved fiercely enough to reshape his entire world around them. "I accept," Naruto said. His voice was steady, his eyes were bright, and the grin that followed was golden and wild and infinite. The expression of a boy who dreamed of this moment since small enough to stand on the academy swing and stare up at the carved faces above the village, promising himself he'd join them. The inauguration drew every major figure in the elemental nations. 5 Kage attended: Gaara from sand, the restored Mei from mist, A from cloud, Onoki from stone, and Tsunade herself as the outgoing Hokage. Allied soldiers who'd fought beside him at the war cheered from the crowd. His friends, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, the Konoha 11, everyone who'd walked this road with him, stood in the front row with expressions ranging from tearful to smug to desperately unsurprised. Naruto stood on the Hokage Tower roof in full regalia, the hat, the robes, the mantle bearing the kanji for 6th. The village stretched below him, rebuilt and thriving, its people gathered by the thousands to see their golden boy take the highest seat. His runic tattoos pulsed beneath the ceremonial clothes, visible as faint golden lines at his collar and wrists, a reminder that the man wearing the hat was something beyond human, something that chose this village and these people as his purpose. "People of Konoha!" Naruto's voice boomed across the gathered crowd, amplified by chakra, carrying to every ear. "I'm your 6th Hokage, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to eat too much ramen in the office. I'm probably going to break at least one desk by accident in the first week." Laughter rippled through the crowd. "But here's what I promise." His voice dropped, deeper, sincere, carrying the weight of everything he'd been through to reach this moment. Nobody in this village goes unloved. Nobody goes unprotected. Nobody gets treated like a monster for something they didn't choose. His eyes found the orphans in the crowd, the children who'd grown up alone like him, who looked up at the golden Hokage with hope blazing in their young faces. "I'll be the kind of leader I needed when I was small, the one who sees everyone, the one who fights for everyone, the one who refuses to let anyone fall through the cracks." He raised his fist to the sky. The sun caught the runes on his exposed forearm, sending golden light scattering across the crowd like benediction. "From this day forward, I protect this village with everything I am. Believe it." The roar that answered shook windows for 3 blocks. It carried hope, pride, love, and the absolute certainty of people watching their future unfold into something worthy. In the crowd, Hinata pressed her hand against her chest and cried openly, tears of a joy so fierce it burned. Sasuke smirked, arms crossed, Sharingan deactivated for once, allowing himself to see his best friend's triumph through normal eyes. Sakura wiped her face on her sleeve and shouted congratulations. Kakashi's single visible eye curved into its crescent. Genuine, warm, the pride of a teacher watching his students surpass everything. And high above, on the Hokage monument, a 7th face was already being planned. The carvers had started their draft the moment Tsunade made the announcement. Naruto's stone likeness would join the others, grinning, wild-haired, marked with the faint impression of runic tattoos that the sculptor insisted on including because that's who he is. That night, Naruto stood on the monument, his favorite spot, the same ledge where this story began, sitting on his father's stone head, watching the village below. But tonight, he wore the hat. Tonight, the village was his responsibility. Tonight, Hinata stood beside him, her hand in his, her head resting against his shoulder as they watched the lights of Konoha flicker like earthbound stars. "You did it," Hinata said softly. "We did it," Naruto corrected. "Every single person who believed in me, who stood by me, who refused to let me become something bitter and alone." He kissed the top of her head. "Especially you." From within the seal, Kurama stirred. "Kit, yeah? That cage you mentioned years ago, about letting me out someday. The fox's voice carried something it rarely showed, genuine emotion, carefully guarded but present. I think I'm ready, if you still want to. Naruto closed his eyes, reached inward, found the seal, the golden hall, the white marble pillars, the throne where Baldur's consciousness rested in eternal partnership with his living self. And beside the throne, the massive cage where Kurama existed. The lock was symbolic now. Both of them knew Naruto could release it whenever he chose. You sure? Naruto asked. Freedom means you leave. Go wherever you want. Be whatever you want. I know, Kurama's red eyes gleamed through the cage bars. But I'm choosing to stay. Free. Partnered. Equals rather than prisoner and warden. The fox's massive form shifted, settling into something less combative, something approaching comfort. You proved something to me across these years, something I thought impossible after centuries of imprisonment. What's that? That humans can be worth trusting. A pause. That one human, at least, is worthy of a Bijuu's loyalty. Naruto reached out within the mindscape. His hand found the seal lock. He turned it. The mechanism opened. The cage dissolved, bars fading, constraints releasing. The prison that had held the nine-tailed fox since the night of his birth vanishing into golden mist. Kurama stepped forward. Free. Truly free for the first time since the Sage of Six Paths divided the 10 tails into 9 pieces. His massive form stood beside Naruto in the mindscape, towering, immense, 9 tails swaying, but his energy was different, relaxed, present by choice rather than compulsion. Thank you, Kurama rumbled. The words sounded like they cost him something. Naruto. Partners, Naruto said, extending his fist upward toward the fox's massive paw. Till the end. Kurama bumped his fist against Naruto's with a single massive knuckle. The connection blazed golden. 2 souls bound by choice rather than seal, by respect rather than force. In the real world, Naruto opened his eyes. The golden glow of the completed bond faded from his skin. Hinata looked up at him with a question in her lavender eyes. Just freed the world's biggest fox from the world's smallest cage, Naruto said. He says hi. Hinata blinked, then smiled. Tell him I said hello back. From within, free, chosen, content, Kurama huffed. I like this one. She's got good taste in impossible men. The wind blew across the monument. Cherry blossoms scattered in the night air, catching the lamplight from the village below. Naruto Uzumaki, 6th Hokage, vessel of the 9 tails, reincarnation of the god of light, son of the 4th, husband of Hinata, friend to everyone who'd ever needed one, stood at the peak of his world and felt, for the first time across 2 lifetimes, truly at peace. His body remained invulnerable. His strength remained absolute. His power remained beyond anything this world's rules could measure or contain. But those things were tools now, shields for the people below, weapons against whatever darkness might rise next, gifts used in service rather than conquest. Baldur had been broken by his invulnerability once, in a lifelong past, driven to madness by the inability to feel, to connect, to experience mortality's raw edge. But Naruto had taken that same curse and transmuted it, through love, through stubborn kindness, through an unrelenting refusal to let pain turn into cruelty's echo. The god of light had been reborn into a ninja's world. He'd found love, he'd found purpose, he'd found a village worth protecting and a life worth living. And standing on his father's stone head, his wife beside him, his village peaceful below, his fox partner rumbling contentment within his soul. He knew with absolute certainty that he'd lived this life better than the last. Hey, Dad, Naruto murmured to the carved face beneath his feet, the same way he had years ago as a child. I did it, the hat, the village, the whole thing. He squeezed Hinata's hand. And I found someone amazing along the way. You'd love her. Mom would too. A breeze stirred his golden hair. If he chose to believe it was an answer, a blessing from beyond, a father's pride reaching across the veil, then who could tell a god he was wrong? Naruto Uzumaki grinned at the sky one final time. Golden, wild, infinite, invulnerable in body and unbreakable in heart. The war was over. The story was complete. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Paperwork, council meetings, the eternal battle against a Hokage's most fearsome enemy, administrative tedium. But tonight was for standing on the mountain, holding the person he loved, and knowing with every fiber of his divine, impossible, magnificent being that he'd earned this peace through every punch thrown, every friend saved, every enemy spared, In every single moment, he'd chosen warmth over wrath. The God of Light's war was over, and the God of Light had won.
What a ride. If this golden god flexing on destiny got you hyped, smash subscribe for more insane what-ifs. Smash that like button and drop your favorite moment below. We eating good next time. Believe it, you legends!